talk about conspiracy theories. Today we are joined by myself, Jake, and
as always, John.
I don't think we're not having special featured people here. It's just us.
Nope, just us.
Just us. And
hopefully in the future we get some interviews and stuff.
We will. Definitely.
This actually might have been a good one to have an interview for because I know a guy.
Yeah. So, and that's interesting because he would have given some interesting stuff at the bottom. We'll get to that.
Well, I talked to him about it recently.
Did you?
And not that interesting.
Oh, okay.
No, not with what he does with this particular conspiracy.
Sure.
No.
Yeah. So I've talked to somebody else involved in this, and it's definitely interesting. And it will, not to sound mysterious, but I'm sure at this point you've already seen the title in the description when you clicked on the podcast, so you already know what we're talking about. So definitely not that mysterious. But as always, let's start out with the brew part of the Brewluminati.
Oh yeah,
and we will talk about the beer that we're drinking today. And Mr. John, what do you have over there?
So today we are drinking a beer from one of my favorite breweries right now, Sycamore, which is located in Charlotte, North Carolina. And today we are drinking their extremely delicious Tropical Kush IPA.
This is one of the better IPAs I've had in a while.
It's super good. It slaps.
Yeah, it does.
Everything that this brewery makes, to me, especially in the IPA realm, just is on fire.
Yeah, they're kind of the like Stone of the East Coast. Like they're doing a lot of really cool stuff with different IPA things.
Yeah, and I love the names of their beers. Like, so they're all basically drug themed.
Right.
So there's like Tropical Kush, Special Brownies.
Yes.
I can't even think of some of the other ones right now, but they're all like,
yeah,
kind
a whole list
themed.
online, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like sometimes they're just like really funny names. Like there's one called Juice Willis.
Okay.
Which was another one of the. It was like a short run special edition IPA they did.
Yeah.
Juice Willis.
I bet their brewery's fun down there.
Yeah, I went there a couple weeks ago. Yeah, and it was definitely cool. Like it was actually when they were doing the Tropical Kush relaunch.
Oh, cool. Okay. So even with COVID, they were doing stuff like Okay.
Yeah, and they like had a mask policy and people were social distance.
Nice.
And they even had like live music, but you couldn't get very close to the stage. That has it like roped off and stuff.
Wouldn't want to cough on a singer.
Right, exactly. And so this beer, they were relaunching it in early October or something like that. And so it's not out all the time. This isn't one of their like permanents.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But it is a beer that they had before. People loved it. They went crazy about it. And then they discontinued it. And then people were like, when you bring Tropical Kush back, And so then they were like, we're bringing Tropical Kush back. And everybody like lost their minds about
it's
it.
Time.
On Instagram. Yeah. Like I follow them on Instagram. And as soon as I saw the Tropical Kush thing, I went there and there was already like a fuck ton of comments. People being like, fuck yeah, Tropical Kush fucking rules. Like I can't wait. This is going to be amazing. It's definitely good. Like, so they put these like funny descriptions on the sides of the cans though.
Yeah.
So what this one says is, kind of fruity, kind of dank. This IPA is packed with the choicest sticky hop nuggets from our favorite growers. And I'm like,
excellent.
I know, dude. That's so lit to me. It's awesome.
The can definitely has a bit of a like a Los Angeles vibe to it.
I was actually just thinking that it feels like
palm trees.
Yeah, it feels like a Cali skate vibe.
It does, definitely. Even though it's got like the sycamore, like the sycamore with the leaf kind of looks Canadian,
Yeah.
But then like the background with the pink, and this is pink, right? I'm very colorblind.
Yeah. So it has like kind of the sycamore is written in like that old school like varsity text.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about with the swoosh along the bottom.
Yeah.
But then it's in front of a maple leaf. And then the can, it's like the leaf is cream, and then the sycamore is in like a real bright pink. And then the can is really cool. It has this like, it's like a tan-ish kind of off-white colored can.
Yeah.
And then the label is like a stick-on. And it's like really kind of like a deep blue at the bottom, and it fades to the top and to like a teal. And then at the very top, it's like a really light teal with like a kind of like a tan along the top.
Yeah.
And I was just looking at Jake, and Jake was looking at the bottom. So every run of their cans gets named a different name.
Oh, okay.
So like on the bottom of this run, it says Dare Alumni.
Oh, mine says Crush the Kush.
Yeah. So these
Cool.
2 cans are from 2 different runs. Cause like
Cool.
I've been buying Tropical Kush. Like I recently,
You've been crushing this stuff.
yeah. And I'll tell a story here in a second about Sycamore, which is kind of a cool story. But yeah, this beer slaps. Everything I've drank from them is just absolutely dope. And I mean, it's sporting 7%.
Yeah.
Like,
It doesn't taste 7%. Usually the higher percentage you get with IPAs, you get like kind of stickier and sweeter. And you get that
kind of alcohol-y.
Yeah, yeah.
You can taste it. It's kind of boozy.
This is kind of a little bit dry. Like there's a little bit of dryness there. And it's you definitely get like the dank part that they were talking about for sure.
Absolutely. You get that super stinky hop jam going on.
Yeah. I've had stinkier and sticky ickier.
Yeah.
But this is definitely like usually when you go that far down the like this beer is weed route, it can get pretty gross. This is not that at all. This is 100% drinkable and great.
Yeah. Like I find it's not quite like squeezed orange juicy.
Oh, not at all. No.
And it's not like ultra hazy either. Like I would call it semi-translucent. You can't see through it for sure. It's non-see-through, but it's not like they have another beer called Juiciness, which is like their affordable IPA, which it also slaps. But it looks like straight up orange juice. Like
this is like a tang thickness and color.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. But like when you drink it, it's just like it's not like I'm getting any one overly forward flavor out of it.
Yeah.
It's just real easy and drinkable, but it definitely has that stank to it.
I appreciate the lack of sweetness. Like a lot of IPAs are going down this weird path of like being too sweet nowadays.
Yeah.
Especially with the milkshake IPA and the hazy stuff.
I like milkshakes, but you're right. They have this element of like
you get one or two
sweet to them.
Yeah.
And this does not have that. Like I could drink an entire 4-pack of this, be crushed. Like I would be dominated.
When I first moved to Raleigh from Los Angeles, the Brute IPA movement was blowing up in Los Angeles.
I hated that.
And it was like the
that.
champagne IPAs. Yeah, and it's just basically PBR, you know? It's like, come on.
Yeah, I was not into it.
Yeah.
People were like, oh yeah, these Brute IPAs, they're good. And I'm like, nah, they're trash.
Yeah, and it was just a reaction against the milkshake IPAs, essentially, you know. But it and then we got a ton of the session IPAs out of it. So like
I didn't like those either. It was like it was like low on flavor, high on booze.
A lot of them are like 3 to 4% alcohol.
They just tasted boozy.
Yeah, and there's just not much
like
there.
That.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's,
like it didn't have the stank to back it up. To like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, if I was gonna drink something that was like 4 or 5%, I would just have like a Kolsch or something like light or normal. You know, it's When I go to an IPA, I want something like very heavy body, like something that is like in your face.
Yeah.
Because I'm probably only going to have 1 or 2 tops because I'm there for the taste, you know?
Oh, see, I'm the total opposite. Like I could drink IPAs all day, every day, which I actually do. I drink IPAs not all day, every day, but I crush IPAs.
Well, I remember at 8 a.m. you were texting me the pictures of the ones you were drinking this morning. So it's
I mean, I don't know what to say, dude. I love IPAs. Like when most people are like, oh yeah, I'm going to drink a beer. I'm like, yeah, I am. It's going to be 8% too. But no, like, no, all of this year. I've just been dominating IPAs all year long, and Sycamore has been a staple for me. I've been drinking them all year. I've been crushing Tropical Kushes, and especially that beer Juiciness, which I'll have to bring on here and talk about one time.
You were doing those early in the summer. I was riding the Voodoo Ranger IPAs very heavily.
Yeah, I think you were telling me about that. I was riding the Sierra Nevada hazy little things a lot.
Oh, those were good. Yeah. I've always been a fan of the Torpedo. Like I've always liked that. It's a very heavy.
Torpedo is one of those ones that was a little bit too sticky icky for me.
Yeah,
it had that like kind of earth to it that I was like,
I liked keeping like a 6-pack of Torpedo in the fridge because that was my like last beer of the night beer.
Okay.
You know, like I always like if I'm having a couple beers, watching TV or whatever, I always like to finish the night off with like a little bit of a heavier one. And it used to be for a long time, I would keep around like imperial stouts,
Oh, dang.
and that'd be my last one. But as a good friend of mine called them, I'm a big fan of the Rohypnol level stouts, where they're like 13, 14%, like the big boys. And that's not a good end of the night beer at all, because that turns into trouble getting up the staircase sometimes.
Yeah. See, I'd rather start out with like a typical beer drinking night for me would be like, I start out with like a Tropical Kush.
Sure.
And I'll drink like maybe 2 of these.
Yeah.
And then I'll switch to juiciness.
Okay.
And I'll just finish out the night on those.
Okay.
And so I like to maintain this like between 8 and 6%, and just kind
What's
of
juiciness?
I think
know
it's
off the top of your head?
6 and some change.
Okay.
I'll have to look. I'll give you guys a definitive answer on that another time when we talk about juiciness, because it has. If I had to absolutely name my number 1 beer of the year, it's juiciness.
Obviously, I mean you've been sucking that stuff down endlessly.
I mean, I can't tell you, dude. Like, I have never found another IPA that is as good, as drinkable, and as inexpensive as juiciness is.
Well, and it's funny because like juiciness is like, so Sycamore is not like, this isn't like a brand you're going to find in the gas station down the street. Like,
nah.
And you're not going to find this at the, the Harris Teeter or the Food Line.
Oh, you
or
will.
anything.
You'll find it. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen it at the
They've
one by
gone
my
full
house.
distribution on it, at least
Oh,
locally.
I haven't seen it at mine.
Yeah. So like, what's crazy is
I've been looking.
You can get it certain places, right? So I mean, of course, you can get it at the brewery, and of course, you can get it at bottle shops. But you're gonna have to be ready to pay out the ass for at the
couple
bottle
bucks
shop.
a can,
Yeah, but what's great about at least the Southeast is so Harris Teeter is based here in Charlotte, or not here, but they're based in Charlotte.
Yeah.
And
oh, okay.
Yeah. And so Harris Teeter has picked up a lot of juiciness or a lot of Sycamore.
Harris Teeter has a great selection.
Yeah, they do. They really have the best beer selection of all the like normal grocery stores.
Yeah, Wegmans is pretty good.
Wegmans still hasn't picked up locals.
The new one has. Have you been to the Wegmans in North, the new one they built up in North Hills or wherever that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, they when I went there, like
they picked up that many like small. I don't know.
Not in the cooler, but in the like shelves, they had some decent local.
See, I want them
stuff.
cold, Doug. If I want to go home,
well,
and
yeah,
drink
obviously,
them.
yeah.
So that's probably one thing I don't do is when I do go in the grocery store, I'm looking at the cold stuff.
Yeah,
because when I'm buying beer, I'm ready to go home and start crushing.
Yeah, so the Wegmans that I went to, that's the only place I've seen Sycamore around here. I'm sure they probably have it at the Harris Teeter by my house.
Yeah,
but the Wegmans there right next door is where we went to hang out at the Clouds Brewing.
That's right.
Because the reason we went there is because they have a playground for the kids, and my daughter could go and hang out and play with the toys and stuff.
There's another brewery in North Raleigh that has a playground.
Is there?
Or, I actually don't think they have a playground. I just think that like 9 million families go there.
Oh, okay.
I hate this place too.
Which one is it?
I don't even remember the name of it. And I'm not about to bash a brewery. That's not my style.
They're trying their best. They're just doing what they can.
No, I mean, the area that they're located, I mean, they are dead in the center of like 9 million neighborhoods.
Oh,
which is weird. And it's somewhere up in North Raleigh. It's like right in the middle of a bunch of weird neighborhoods and shit like that. And I mean, people just like go there with their children. And when I go to breweries, I'm not trying to hang out with kids. No offense to anybody with kids.
No, I get it.
don't have kids.
I have kids.
I'm not into that. I just am one of those people where I'm like, I do not want to go out to a restaurant or a bar or the brewery and hang out with my lady and my dog and be drinking some fancy ass beer that I just paid $9 a beer for.
Sure.
And listen to some kids screaming, or have them run over to
it's
me and go,
true.
doggy, and bum rush my dog. You know what I mean? I'm not into that. And so we went to this particular place. There's like a million families there. There's like children running around screaming everywhere. And I turn around, I'm like, this is my nightmare. Like, when can we leave?
See, that's why Pharmacy Bottle Shop in downtown Cary is like our jam.
There's no way to get children in that place.
Well,
it's too small.
Exactly. And so my wife and I like to go there, and you and I have hung out there. We've hung out there with everybody.
It's a great chill spot.
The back area place is the best. There's like 3 picnic tables that are cool.
Yeah.
Like I can bring my daughter and my dogs there and sit there, and I can put on Elmo and she watches Elmo or hangs out with her, like does her puzzles and chills. And then I can sit there and have a couple beers. My wife can have a couple drinks and we just hang out and it's great.
Yeah.
You know?
And there's good atmosphere. Like there's not very far to walk if you want to grab some food or something. Like there's Chinese food right across the
Taipei
street.
101.
There's a bar right down the street. You can get some bar food. There's a Little C's right down the road. You can
Little
run down.
C's?
Yeah, Little Caesars.
Oh, Little Caesars. Oh man.
I used to work over there. Like
really?
Right. Yeah. So I used to be a warehouse.
I didn't even
man.
know they were still in business.
Yeah.
I thought all the Little Caesars went bankrupt.
Well,
like
no,
10
I
years
didn't
ago.
work at Little Caesars. I worked at Sprint, and I was their warehouse manager.
Oh, okay.
And the like central
And it was
North
right
Carolina
there.
warehouse
Okay.
was like right down the street. So like when I wanted pizza real bad, I just
Sure.
drove to Little Caesars.
Do they
Grab
don't they
some
do the thing
$5.
where it's like $5 you take a pizza with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's
I
like
guess I can get behind
cheese or pep,
Okay.
and I'd run over there and I'd grab like
And it's always hot, always ready.
it's
They just
hot and
got it.
ready.
Sure. Yeah.
That's what they call them.
hot and ready. Really?
Hot and ready.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what they.
Little
$5
Caesars,
hot and ready pizzas. Yeah. So I just like roll
Cool.
over to the Little C's over there, grab some like $5 hot and ready.
Sure. Yeah. It's
Stop
just
by
ready to go.
pharmacy, grab some beer, go back to the warehouse. It was
Cool.
dope.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I mean, it's. I didn't even know they're still in business. That makes sense. That's awesome.
No, Little Caesars is definitely there. Like I remember being a kid and thinking like Little Caesars was like this like mythical pizza place that we never that like the only thing that they had was those like the like 20 by 17-inch pizza.
It's square, right? Like the big
that
square
giant
pizzas,
like square pizza. And like I always like remembered like seeing commercials for that on the TV, but like my parents always wanted to get like Pizza Hut or Domino's.
Pizza
and, like,
Hut,
I love Pizza Hut. Like Pizza Hut's got a special place in my heart.
You like Pizza Hut? Like the grease mattress?
Yeah,
Pizza Hut?
pan pizza.
Oh,
absolutely.
Sure.
All day long. Give it to me.
Oh,
I love it.
Can't do it.
But like,
Papa John's is okay.
No,
But
Papa John's is trash.
Really? Is it too dry? Is that what it is? There's not enough grease?
No, so I know why I hate Papa John's is because it's one time I was at the beach with my family and we were there with like a bunch of other families, and for whatever reason they were like, people were like, let's get pizza. And I was like, sick. Are we gonna get some fucking like let's get some Pizza Hut.
And you got corn swoggled.
At the very least Domino's. And they were like, nah man, we want Papa John's. And I was like, nah dude, that stuff sucks. And they were like, nah, we're gonna get that and we're gonna get the wood-fired pizza. Because at the time they were doing this.
There was like a local.
Yeah, I don't know. They were doing this like wood-fired pizza thing at Papa John's. And I was like,
okay.
And I was like, nah, dude, I don't want that.
I haven't heard
that
of
doesn't
that.
sound
Yeah.
good. And they were like, sucks to suck. We're gonna get it anyway. And I was like, I mean, so they're like, what time does you want? And I was like, I don't even remember what I said. But anyways, so this pizza came, and it's I have this opinion about pizza that basically pizza is like sex. Even when it's bad, it's still pizza.
Sure.
And
unless it's Little Caesars.
No, the Little Caesars was better than this shit. And so this like wood-fired Papa John's pizza got delivered to this like beach place that we were staying in. And this was
in Wilmington?
No, I have no idea where it was. I can't remember now.
Oh, some beach city somewhere.
Yeah, just
Okay.
some beach city somewhere.
Yeah. You were too high. No recollection.
No, I was too young to be high.
Oh,
I don't
okay,
even
you were a
think I was
kid.
drinking.
Gotcha,
Yeah, I was
okay.
like a kid. I might have been like middle school or like early high school. or
Okay,
something.
fair.
And so anyways, this fucking like wood-fired Papa John's pizza comes, and if I had to tell you that this was the gummiest, softest, soggiest crust that
I've never heard of wood-fired Papa John's. I didn't know it was a thing.
I don't think it stayed a thing long because
It couldn't have. Like that sounds horrible.
This crust was the gummiest, soggiest, most disgusting.
Was it flat like a square, like a flat square pizza? Like
no,
wood-fired
it was
one?
like straight up a normal round pizza.
Oh.
It's just the crust was all soggy and gummy and
They just
and-
screwed
and
it up.
weird. And it tasted like it had like that liquid smoke, like fake smoke flavor in it. So it was like
so they just,
weirdly
like-
sweet, fake wood fire smoke flavor
They
in it.
McDonald's's up a
And then
pizza
it was all
and, like-
gummy and soft and disgusting, and you
Ah.
bite into it, and
Gross.
and you bite into it, and like it was just like biting into wet white bread that tasted like
Ugh.
fake pizza crust and
Ugh.
like fake wood fire taste.
It's horrible.
And then it had like not
Who signed
enough-
off on that?
Yeah, I don't know, but it was horrible. And so basically,
Somebody had to try that. At
I
some
don't
point.
know. Well,
It
from-
probably in the factory. It probably tasted fine. Like they probably
Yeah.
had like
So I don't know. I don't know if they just fucked it up or
Gross.
whatever. But ever since then, I've just been like, I'm sorry, but I can't do it. And when
I
I,
get
bite,
it. Yeah.
when I bite into Papa John's, it tastes like that gross ass soggy,
Yeah.
like gross pizza crust. And I'm like, I can never eat it again.
When I was a kid, I went to Checkers and they gave me like a raw burger. I was like 6 or 7. It was just like a raw burger, and I was just like, I haven't gone to a Checkers or a Rally since. Like, couldn't do it.
When I was at NC State, I played sports at NC State in college, and so like there's like a handful of like dining halls there that you would eat in.
The
like,
Wolfpack, is that the Wolfpack?
What?
NC State?
Yeah,
Wolfpack.
Yeah, go pack. Go pack. No. But no, what's funny, from my new house, I live near enough to where NC State plays football.
Yeah.
That when they play football, all I have to do is open my windows and I can hear the announcer.
It's still pretty close. It's not that far. It's like,
no, that's what I'm saying. It is close.
Oh,
that
yeah.
I can listen,
now.
I listen to the football games, and
That's
I can
awesome.
I just open my windows. I can hear the announcer talking and stuff. It's awesome. But yeah, so when I was in the dining hall one time, I got like a chicken sandwich or chicken tenders or something. I bit into them. They were completely raw.
Oh,
Like edge to edge raw.
gross.
Yeah, it was horrible. But then after that, I was like, because I talked to somebody about it, and they were like, don't you fucking play sports here? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, why are you eating in this dining hall? And I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, there's a special dining hall for sports. For like,
is it really?
Yeah, there's a special.
How did you didn't get a memo?
No.
Wow.
I didn't get a memo.
Trying to keep you out.
So anyway, I mean, I was a freshman, like, and this was not very long into school.
Sure.
And they were like, you can.
What sport were you playing?
Ice hockey.
Yeah.
I know. It's like, as soon as I say that, you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You're playing ice hockey at a football school? Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. They didn't tell us that we could do that. But anyways, I went.
I feel like it's why you got the short end of that.
Yeah. But I went and talked to the dining people, and I was like, so what's up? So I play hockey here. Like, what's the deal? Can I eat in the like fancy pants athletic dining hall? And they were like, yeah, right, fuck it.
Cool.
And they had the best fucking food in here. Yeah, like if you went in there for dinner, it would be like steak and like
just protein.
Yeah.
Did they have protein drinks? Could you get like a protein drink?
I don't know. Not that I can remember.
No. Okay. I was wondering if they had like supplements.
Like a fridge of muscle milk somewhere
Did
that
they?
I could probably take, and I just never knew.
Yeah, it's like when I was in college, one of my side gig, I always had a million side gigs when I was in college because I wanted to make a ton of money. And one of my side gigs was working at the gym. And I remember I always had to like go in and like go through like where the athletes would like get their like rehab and stuff.
Yeah.
And there was like a whole little section where like the athletes that were in rehab would get like special treatment because they had to get like their ankles wrapped, and like they would go to these special fridges, and there was like special food for them. Like, and it was always funny to me because like they only got the special treatment when they got injured. So like they got the special drinks when they were hurt, but up until that point, they were just like, go eat at the regular. I mean, this was a really tiny school, you know.
Yeah.
They were just like, go eat at the regular like place and eat your, you know, tuna sandwiches or whatever. But I got the worst case of food poisoning in my life from that college dining hall. I don't know what it was, but like I went through a thing. I was not cutting weight, but I was just like eating really carefully and like trying not to gain weight. And I was like eating salads every day. And
yeah, I could never do that. I was playing hockey too much. I was lifting all the time.
And
I was just dominating food.
I was a 130-pound kid who like didn't care. And like I was literally eating like big romaine lettuce salads every day. And I remember one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to put salad dressing on my salad. And like it was like a special treat.
Yeah.
And I put I think it was ranch. And I put ranch on my salad. And like this was the night before we were supposed to drive to Florida for spring break. I grew up in Florida, so we were driving to my folks' house in Florida.
I can tell this is already going to go bad.
Yeah, so like I start feeling kind of wonky, and we get in the car, and I'm going to my girlfriend's house, and we get to her house, and like my stomach just turns upside down. And this is the first time ever meeting her parent, like first time I've ever been to her house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, everybody. And then I had to lock myself into a bathroom and just like expel my internal combustion engine into the toilet for like 45 minutes. It was horrible.
God. Have I told the story on this podcast of the time that I was playing hockey in college and hockey in Canada? And
I don't think so.
Oh man, I'll have to tell it at one point. It's way off topic. We'll be going way off topic. But yeah, no, I never got food poisoning from the dining halls. But one of the things that I did do was, so I don't know if your dining halls were this way, but ours were all you could eat.
Yeah, same.
You pay like $5 to get in, then you eat out all you
Well,
want.
it's part of the whatever you pay to live there.
Oh,
like
see,
you had a
ours
card.
wasn't included. You had to like put money on a dining
Oh,
card.
ours was just a card.
And then you just had to like swipe your card and it would
Did you live
essentially
on
charge
campus?
$5. Yeah. I
Oh.
lived in a dorm for 2 months. And then I moved into a fraternity house for a fraternity.
I was in a
founded.
dorm and it was just all part of it.
I helped found a fraternity. So then I was like, oh, can I get the fuck out of this terrible dorm with my shitty roommate? And they're like,
Fair.
yep. And so basically the fraternity was like, well, we just found it and they assigned us a house, but we don't know how to get our rooms assigned over. Will you figure that out? You can be the first person to move in. And I was like, you fucking got it, dog. So I
And
went
that's how you became the janitor.
No, I have so many ridiculous stories from like the fraternity house in college and shit. I'll have to tell them at some point. But I mean, I founded a fraternity. Of course, those stories are ridiculous. But God, there's so many. But no, so like I went over to housing and I figured all that shit out. And then I moved out of the dorm. I was like, later, bitches. And I went and lived in the fraternity house. I lived alone in a fraternity house of 45 people.
Whoa.
For a month.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then the second person who moved in was one of my best friends and we were roommates.
So when I moved to this college, it's called Centenary College in Hackettstown, New Jersey. I love the people that teach there. I love the administration. It's a great college.
Yeah.
It was like 250 people, something like that. And I lived in Smith Hall, which I guess my maiden name, my original name before I got married was Smith. I took my wife's name when I got married. And
okay.
Yeah. So my name was Smith before I got married. I took my wife's name, which is Desjardins.
I went the misogynistic route, and she took my name.
You went you went the normal route, normie.
I am a normie.
But yeah, so anyway, so like I went to this college. It was Smith Hall, and like at the time I was a Smith, and I was like so connected to it, and I thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
But the hall, no one had lived in the dorm for something like 18 years beforehand. And so when I moved there, I was a little older. And I was an RA, like I started as an RA. And we moved into these dorms and there was only 18 rooms and all 18 of us were RAs in training to move later into these other places.
Okay.
And this place, we literally had to peel boards off of the doors to be able to open our rooms and get in.
Oh,
and
wow.
There was like, we would open the rooms and there were like beds that were from the 1950s with plastic mats, like mattresses on them. And they were just like, there you go. You're good. Yeah. It was creepy as hell.
Oh my God.
And the third floor was completely locked down because somebody was murdered up there.
What?
Yeah. Like in the 30s or something. And nobody had been up there since.
We need to research who that was. And like,
it was a woman named Tilly. She's buried.
Oh shit, you already know
I know
about
everything
this.
about it. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so invested in this now.
So when you would take a bath or like get out and like look in the mirror, like Tilly would come up behind you. Like,
oh God.
It was the creepiest thing ever. And so anyway, so it was just, and like, that's why only
Would you stand in the mirror and say Tilly 3 times?
Yeah. And you were dead. Yeah. And so like, this was this dorm. That's why the dorm was only RAs because nobody else was allowed in there. You know.
Oh, wow.
And so
All
like,
right.
yeah, so it was super creepy. And like, I was the first one to show up, and it was really the first time I had ever like gone away to college or like lived away or anything. I had lived on my own, like had stuff, but I'd never like moved far away from anyone.
Okay.
And I was like 1,000 miles from anyone I knew. I showed up in my car with like a backpack and nothing else. And I walked in this dorm and there was no one to greet me. I knew my room was number 7.
Yeah.
And I just like, I had to peel planks off the door to get inside of it. And there was like no sheets, nothing. I didn't know what to do. And it was the creepiest moment of my, it was horrible.
Wow.
And this is like pre-internet. Like, so I didn't have like a smartphone or anything.
Yeah.
So like, I'm
You
just
couldn't like go like look up the housing.
I couldn't do
and be
anything.
like,
There was
oh my
nothing.
God.
This is 1997. Like, you know, I'm walking into this room and
Now
like,
I automatically know why nobody was offended by like by living in the murder dorm.
right, exactly. Yeah. So like I had a book and I think I was reading like a Dean Koontz book at the time or something. And so I just like laid on this bed with no sheets and like read this horror novel. And yeah, it was horror. And I lived there for like 3 days before the next person showed up. And by the time they showed up, I was already like Jack Nicholson in the snowdrift, like dying before they showed up. Like I'd already had the
You
whole.
didn't have sheets for 3 days.
No, I ended up going and buying some.
Okay.
But like it's a small town in the middle of nowhere, you know?
Right.
So it was creepy as hell. But yeah,
Oh my
so
God.
that's my college experience.
Oh, okay. I was trying to. So there's one other thing I wanted to say about the dining hall. So the one thing that we would do, and this was like so against the rules, what we'd do it anyway, is so since our dining halls were all you could eat, one of the things that we would do, and I forget what we called them, we came up with a name for it, but essentially what we would do is we would take like a bunch of burgers and a bunch of grilled cheeses and like put them in a big stack, and
with buns and bread and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like with buns and bread and everything, and we would just stick like a knife through them,
like a loaf.
Yeah, like it was a stack of burgers and grilled cheeses.
Okay,
and we'd stick a knife through them. And then we would just like sneak out with it.
Was there like some sort of like was somebody like checking if you left with the stuff?
No, I think there was supposed to be, but there never was. So
yeah, like
every time I'd go eat, and then like not every time, but like if it was like the last time during the day that I was on campus and I was about to go back to the fraternity house, which was like a long enough walk away.
Yeah,
because like the fraternity house was on campus.
Okay.
But it was on a weird segregated part of campus where like the closest dining hall was the shittiest dining hall at State, and it was still like a 15 or 20 minute walk.
Okay.
And so I was like, all right, well.
So you had your burger knife matrix to bring with you on the walk back.
I had my stack O burgers and grilled cheeses that I shoved a knife through, and then I would just like go sit on the bus riding back to the house, like holding this like giant stack of burgers and grilled cheeses.
How big was this knife? Like, was it just a regular?
I mean, it was like a normal knife like this, but like each of us would have one.
So okay. So you're walking out with like a dozen plus burgers.
Yeah, I mean, because I could fit.
Were these just laid out and you could just grab them?
Yeah.
Or did they make them for you?
No, I would just like go by and like take like 5 grilled cheeses and like 4 burgers.
So in my school, the way it was, like you would have to request one and they would make it for you.
Oh no, man. There was just like a plate there with like a stack of grilled cheeses, a stack of burgers.
So,
and like and they had other shit too.
Fault.
There's like pizza.
This was their fault.
Yeah. And I was just like, and I would just like have a plate with like 4 burgers and like 6 grilled cheeses on it, and the person would look at me and I'd look at them, and and we just kind of like
but
not
eating
say
stuff.
anything. Yeah, I was eating it.
Yeah, of course. So like it's kind of shitty that they would like
it wasn't going to waste.
Right.
I didn't want to go all the way back to campus for dinner.
Yeah, they're supposed to like stop you from taking that stuff out. It's silly.
Yeah. So anyway, I was just, could you imagine like me sitting on a bus, like I'm holding a knife on this end, but 2 fingers, and a knife on the other end with 2 fingers, and in between my 4 fingers is a knife that's like suspending like 4 burgers and 6 grilled cheeses. And like,
you say that, but what I'm picturing in my head is you sitting on a bus with a pike. And there's 30 burgers stacked up on the pike to the top, and you're just on the bus with the pike on your hand, and you're just like looking at people like, yeah, suck a dick, I got some burgers. And you're just like, and then you get to your stop and you angle your pike to get out the door, and then you walk up, and then you get up into the frat house, and you're like, the burgers have arrived, and you drop the pike with your 100 burgers.
And my 300 fraternity brothers show up and they're like, the burgers have arrived.
And they scramble over each other to grab at the burgers.
Oh my God. If I had a pike, I would have done it.
Of course. I mean, why wouldn't you? It'd be negligent to not. Yeah. Yeah.
No, man. I did all kind of weird shit.
College was weird.
I would take like one thing that I did that was like people always thought was genius is I'd take they had soft serve at ours.
Okay.
And I would just like take one of those shitty plastic cups, like, you know, like they would have it like CC's or something.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And I would like fill it like halfway full of like soft serve, and then the rest of the way full with like Fanta, like orange Fanta. And then I'd swirl it like all up, and they'd be like, "What'd you do?" I'm like, "I made an orange cream float." And they're like, "That's genius. I never thought about that." And then everybody was like making floats and stuff. It was just ridiculous because the food in the food halls in college is just, it's not good.
Yeah. No, it's garbage. It's garbage.
Like, it's crazy to me. Like, so on the west side of campus next to Lee Hall, which is where I lived, there was this really horrible food hall called Fountain, and it's the worst. It was the worst food hall.
Why? Why was it bad?
On campus? The food was just, I don't know. It was just, there was only 3 food halls on State's campus, which is crazy because there's 55,000 people on campus.
Wow.
Every day. Or 45,000 people on campus every day.
I wonder how many are commuters. That's such a big number.
So it was something like 30,000 undergrads, 10 or 15,000 grads and another 5,000 staff and teachers.
Wow. Okay.
And
Huge.
Yeah, a lot of people. And this is like a 10 block area essentially.
I've only been there once.
I went. It's a huge area.
Yeah, I went to see Margaret Atwood speak there once.
Yeah,
it was great. Yeah.
But like when I was there was 3 designated dining halls. Then there was like this weird food court thing. By the library.
Well, yeah. Now they have Taco Bells and stuff spread all throughout campus.
Yeah, and they had another like weird. It wasn't a food hall. It wasn't like a dining hall. It was like a food court. So there's 2 food courts and 3 dining halls. And it was just weird. The food was just so bad. And Fountain had horrible food. Like it was really terrible. But right in the middle of campus, like kind of next to the gym is where the nice dining hall was. And if like you walked into Fountain and just looked around at all the food that they had and then walked out and immediately teleported to the mid-campus one, the athletic dining hall, and you walked around there, 100% food was completely different.
So it's just the quality of food.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like the offerings or the quality?
Quality.
Okay.
Because it was like if you went into Fountain, it was like a government pizza. And then if you went into the athletic dining hall, it was like really nice pizza.
Okay. Like Little C's.
Yeah. Exactly.
Sure.
It was just like Little C's.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, I get it. I've never gone to schools that big, so I don't really know. Like, I went to Centenary College, and then I went to Florida Atlantic University in South Florida. And it was, even though it's 26,000 students, like 20,000 of the students are commuters. So there's like very small amount of people that live on campus.
Yeah. Like I don't even know how many people actually live on campus. There's like,
it's got to be a lot.
There's like 20 dorms.
Oh yeah. I mean, nowadays I drive through and there's like coffee shops and all kinds of stuff. Like, we went to that New York pizza place.
Yeah, I loved
where you guys.
Yeah,
we went over.
Yeah, when I was in. Did you end up going there?
Yeah, my wife and I went over there. We got a bunch of big slices and stuff for us and the kid. Yeah, it was great. It's amazing.
Yeah, that place was.
It was like a Sunday afternoon. It was packed. Like the whole place was full. You know, it was crazy. So.
Yeah. I feel like it's weird that as a podcast that's like going out on the internet, we talk about all this stuff that's like local to Raleigh.
Yeah, whatever. They'll figure it out.
Yeah,
they can come to Raleigh or ignore it.
I mean, worst case, you guys will ever come here. You might know what we're talking about. But
yeah. And if you ever come here, just hit us up and we'll give you a full tour.
I'll take you somewhere cool.
Yeah.
You know, whatever.
Yeah.
Hit us up.
I've only been here I guess I've been here for 2 years now. So
I've been here for 32 years. So.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. We got off on a mad tangent. Anyways, this beer, as the name suggests, is dank. And
it's Kush.
It is Kush.
It is Kush.
And you should try it. It's good. I love it.
Yeah. I like the LA vibe of the can. It reminds me of, I don't know why, but right when you handed me, and we're drinking the same thing. Usually we drink different stuff, but we're doing the same thing right now.
I have a bunch of these right now because I've been collecting them.
Yeah.
Oh, I meant to tell my story.
We'll tell your story.
Oh no.
We'll tell your story in 1 second. But yeah, this can reminds me of Nipsey Hussle. That's what this can makes me think of. So
all right.
So I'm super into that. So, but do you want to tell the Sycamore story real quick?
Oh yeah, it's a little more applicable if I tell it when I talk about juiciness. But
actually, let's do juiciness next one, and then we'll talk about the story.
All right. Y'all remind me to talk about my juiciness story next time.
I'll remind you. All right, so as you've probably already seen, even though we're 90 minutes into this, we're 40 minutes in. We'll as you've already clicked,
our bad.
Yeah, our bad. We do this. As you've already seen, if you saw the description, what we're talking about is the Birds Aren't Real movement, and this has been a thing that's spread across social media. And it's been all over the place. And you've already seen there's a merchandise powerhouse that's pushing this stuff out. And there's a entire group of people who have been doing interviews on everywhere from CNN to MSNBC that have been talking about why birds aren't real. And
they aren't real. Like,
right.
Can't tell if you're messing with me. They aren't real.
I don't know. So let's look into what they're saying, because it's, one of the interesting things is the people behind the movement are going onto new, like very mainstream news shows, and they're talking very straight faced, and having this conversation.
They're extremely serious about their
They
conspiracy.
are. And they've been going on podcasts and all that stuff. And so, maybe we'll grab somebody and have them on the podcast one day. But we wanted to kind of break down where the idea of the movement came from and what led up to all of this. So the whole birds aren't real movement, it basically claims that the U.S. government genocided every bird in the country from 1959 to 2001, or at least they attempted to, and they got pretty far down the road by releasing.
They got them all.
Yeah, they got like Pokemon. They captured every single one of them.
Gotta catch them all.
And
birds
they did
aren't real.
They did it through releasing this very deadly avian virus that essentially
through like chemtrails, right? They dropped it from planes.
Right. Yeah. So that's gonna be we're gonna touch on that, and it's the claims are that basically this virus works in a way that the flesh-eating virus works in humans, where it just kind of eats the birds up and leaves them dead and gone.
Yeah.
And the movement says the birds have been fully replaced with surveillance drone replicas that watch every movement of day-to-day Americans. And in their estimate, the government killed more than 12 billion birds and replace them with robotic replicas. If you look at the stats of, if you just Google how many birds are there in America, you get numbers ranging from 12 billion to 400 billion. So I think any kind of undertaking that tries to get rid of all the birds, you're going to leave some here and there, just
Well, I mean,
out of reality.
Yeah. Well, I mean, plus, birds migrate and shit like that. So, like, we have Canadian geese. They couldn't fuck with the Canadian geese, so they had to leave them alone.
They're on the move.
Yeah, right. And then people have questioned like the idea of like, well, with migrating birds, aside from like Canadian geese and protected species and stuff like that, it's like, how do you prevent the birds from either leaving the United States or new birds coming in from the United States from like either Canada or Mexico or whatever?
They have clemency. Like as soon as they cross the Canadian border, it's like, I can't kill you.
Yeah. Well, my understanding is like part of it is they put up this like, part of it was like a sonar repelling system, and part of it was like a laser defense system that basically kept all of the non-American birds other than migratory birds out of the United States by like preventing them from entering, by like sonaring them to get them to go away, or like laser defensing them to like keep them out.
Man, yeah. American birds, man.
Yeah. Well, because all they wanted to do was like survey the American populations. So they had we had to kill the American birds, but not kill the Mexican birds or the Canadian birds.
Well,
and
that
then
would be
keep
illegal.
Mexican American birds out of here.
Right. I whenever I think about it, I hear the Lenny Kravitz, like, American woman. Like I hear
American birds.
American birdies, stay away from me. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
No, that's Canada.
Yeah.
Stay in that. They don't want American birds.
So the Birds Aren't Real movement started back in 1976. So this goes back pretty far. Yeah. At least further than both of us were alive. They started with the hope of eliminating this entire bird genocide. So there were some whistleblowers back in the day. Military guys saw this going on. They fled. They went to the Birds Aren't Real movement. And they said, we got to stop this. This is very serious. And but once they realized that it had gone too far,
it was unstoppable.
Well, once it tips too far, you can't go back.
Yeah.
And so can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. And so they realized they had to go from a movement of trying to stop the elimination of all the birds to just making the population aware of what was going on. So let's ask the first question. Why would they want surveillance birds in the 50s? What's the purpose of this?
Well, why wouldn't they want surveillance birds in the 50s? I mean, let's think about what's going on in the 50s, right?
Right. Where we
are just okay, so we in the 50s we're like what? 4 years, maybe 10 years post World War II.
Yeah.
We're just now starting to enter, Are we entering Cold War era yet?
I mean, it's basically
technically, or no?
After World War II, you're basically kind of in there. You
Yeah.
know?
So we're starting to get into that like Vietnam, Cold War era.
So who's the enemy? Who's the big enemy during all this?
Well, the big enemies are the big enemy is communism.
Fucking communists.
And we know, well, not maybe everybody doesn't know, but if you know anything about the 50s or through the 70s, you know about communism.
Of course, yeah.
And you know about like, the blacklist and the Hollywood blacklist and like all that kind of shit. And like
the Cuban Missile Crisis, all that stuff. Like, you're a little younger than me, but like when I was a kid in South Florida in the early 80s, we would actually have like nuclear missile drills where we would hide under our desks and we'd be worried about this. And this was kind of...
It was like that episode of South Park where they were like, if there's a nuclear missile, duck and cover.
Exactly. I mean, 100% that's what it was. And this was like, before the Challenger space shuttle blew up.
Yeah.
Like we were hiding under desks. And I think it was in second grade or something when all this was happening.
Yeah. Get under your desk and kiss your ass goodbye because you're about to get vaporized.
Right. And like...
They don't want to tell you that though.
Right. Exactly. But like... My grandfather and my parents were like so scared of this happening. We were in Fort Lauderdale. Cuba was pretty close and Fidel was down there with possibly missiles. So nobody knew what was going on.
Could you imagine though, like being there in that time and like being your grandparents? Because like right now we're afraid of maybe getting sick of COVID, and they were maybe afraid of getting bombed to death by Cuba from nuclear missiles.
Atomized by nuclear missiles.
I'm afraid of getting vaporized by a nuclear weapon.
Yeah. And
like how terrifying.
And it was a real fear, like, because other missiles had gone off. People had blown stuff up.
And I mean, and it wasn't out of the realm. They knew Cuba had missiles. They knew Fidel Castro was a fucking psycho. Like,
and he had Russian missiles, and like, they were convinced
James
that
Bond didn't get those ones.
Exactly, he was in The Rock, and Nicolas Cage hadn't gone and grabbed him yet. So
Sean Connery, I had
exactly. Rest in peace. Yeah,
I know. I'm also sad as shit about that one.
Alex Trebek, rest in peace.
Yeah, my wife texted me earlier today. She was like, "Did you see Talk to Back to Biden?" And I was like, "Yeah."
It got sucked up by the whole like election news cycle.
I know. I saw it as I was working on my dad's IT stuff for him today.
Yeah, it didn't even trend on Twitter. Like there was too many.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, he's been off TV for so many years that people have been like, whatever.
It has been a while. Yeah. So
no, people loved him. He was great. I was just never a big Jeopardy guy.
Oh, I was a big Jeopardy guy. I was.
My wife's a huge into Jeopardy.
I was a Jeopardy nerd. Yeah. So, anyways, communism is the du jour problem.
Well, I mean, we're in 2012 now, and communism's still a du jour problem.
We're in 2020, not 2012. So yeah.
Did I fuck up and
you
say
said
2012? Oh shit. Well, I've had a bunch of these tropical kushes, so at this point,
it's all good. It's all good. I wish it was 2012.
2012 was a really good time.
No, and that's a thing is that communism is still something that right-wing people. I mean, so I am on the left leaning of the spectrum, and I listen though to a lot of like right-wing media. I listen to a lot of different things. And one of the people I listen to is Mark Levin, who is on the kind of like right-wing news channels.
Right.
And or the radio channels. And he even today was screaming about Marxism, Antifa is Marxism. And then he was saying Bolsheviks, and he's dropping Bolshevism. And Bolshevism is such an old idea, but it like ingrained so hard into the humans of America's brains that it's still a thing that people can be scared of.
Yeah.
Bolshevism was such a scary, scary thing.
I'm not even sure what that is.
We're going to get into that. Shit. It's good. It's good that you're curious.
I feel like the government du jour right now that everybody in America is like freaking out about is socialism.
Yes, which directly people say socialism, but what they actually mean is Bolshevism. And it really directly extends from how scared people were in the 1920s and the 1915s to the 1920s of how scared they were of Bolshevism. And it'll become clear why that is a big fear. But one of the big things is people are scared of an uprising. People are scared of the country having a problem, you know.
Right.
And that's why you see in a lot of right-wing media, and you see in a lot of people, and even in left-wing media, you see people scared of the rocking the boat phenomenon. You know, you see like,
Yeah.
Antifa is rioting. That's a problem. They're rioting. But
Right.
like it's protests, you know. There was rioting. There were, and that's a very obvious thing that was
Right.
happening.
And there's a whole conspiracy around who started the riots and why
Right.
did young black people just get pulled into it. And
Right.
there was prominent African-American figures condemning the rioting and saying that's
Yeah.
not what they're trying to do. And we need to educate these young people to not do that shit.
Yep.
And they're basically, whoever's starting these riots is throwing them a bone and they're grabbing onto it without realizing what they're grabbing onto. They're
Yep.
causing more problems than they're solving, stuff like that. And I mean, I know Americans are definitely very afraid of this idea of socialism because or Bolshevism, which we haven't learned exactly what that is
We'll
yet. I'm
define
sure
that in a
Jake will
minute.
tell us. He's way smarter than me, so I'm sure he'll tell us what that is. And because like one of the things about America that I think we can all agree upon is like the idea of the American dream is you work hard, you get a job, you make money, you support your family on it, and you should keep as much of that money as you possibly can.
And who
keep,
can argue with that?
Yeah, and nobody can argue against that.
Right.
And I know that there's this like big movement going on right now where it's like you should give more of your money to the government to support whatever. And so many people are just against that idea because the government is basically the worst run business in the entire world.
Well, yeah.
So why would you ever trust the government to do anything, especially do stuff with your money?
Yeah,
You know what I
I mean, and I agree with that aspect, you know, and if Trump has shown us anything in the last 4 years, it's that the government was like not running well, you know, and things weren't working out the way they should have been.
Yeah.
And
like, as much as I agree that we need better healthcare,
yeah,
at the same time, I'm like, I don't really know how we do that because if the government runs it, it's going to be trash.
Right. Unless the government reorganizes and does different things to look at how it's run and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
You know, so it's basically the question is, do we trust the government to run our day-to-day organizations, or do we trust big business to do that? And so
that's a hard answer because I don't trust either.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that goes back to like the 1800s. You know, people look at things like the railroad companies, and the railroad companies were, you know, what's the phrase, like working at the government store, working for the government store, working for the company store.
Yeah.
Where basically you're like,
or were you a company man?
Yeah, you're like you're out working on railroads all day and you get paid in that railroad's money. And so when you come home at the end of the day, you can only buy the beer at the railroad store with your railroad dollars. And so it locks you into this horrible situation.
Right. And of course they're charging you like 3 times as much for the beer so they can get their
that's
railroad
a real
money
thing.
back.
Exactly. And that's a really real thing that happened.
Yeah.
You know, so it comes down to like, as Americans, what do we trust? What do we think about? Who do we consider okay to run our system? And early in the 1900s, we decided that, you know, the government wasn't the best, and we wanted, you know, to be individuals and do it ourselves. And so what happened in Russia was basically a precursor for what started some very serious problems in the USA. So Americans started freaking out about the Bolsheviks. So the Bolsheviks were a radical, far-left, revolutionary Marxist faction founded by the super ultra boogeyman Vladimir Lenin. Like, you know, The Simpsons, the guy that punches through, comes out of his grave, you know, dominates the earth.
Yeah.
Vladimir Lenin was like the scary communist boogeyman of all time. So these Bolsheviks took power during the October Revolution in Russia in late 1917, overthrowing the provisional government of Alexander Kerensky, and they became the only ruling power in the Soviet Union. They set themselves up as leaders of the revolutionary proletariat, and Americans collectively shit their pants over this entire thing. At the time, it was widely believed that unions led to riots, riots led to civil unrest, and civil unrest led to Bolshevism, and Bolshevism led to complete chaos, and chaos led to the end of America. So
that's just nuts.
Right. So basically, people started seeing unionizing and collective organization, and they saw that as communism.
Yeah.
And they saw that as the end of America.
Yeah.
And so they reacted against it immediately.
I mean, they should.
Well,
It's like the opposite of America.
right. So the question was, should people be organizing? Should they be unionizing? And then they saw it all as a slippery slope. It wasn't, hey, I want to start a union at my auto working facility so that I can take Saturdays off. They saw it as, I want to start a union at my auto work facility so that I can eat the blood of your children and rule your dreams.
Okay.
It was a slippery slope.
Yeah, I can see that.
And during all this time, the newspapers were reiterating that unions were evil and any kind of collective bargaining was evil. And what was happening was capitalism was an idea that they had posited was the best, and anything else they wanted to squash down.
Right.
So whether you agree with that or not, that was what was happening in the moment.
Yeah. And I mean, in real world terms, there's a gamut.
There is.
And we don't need to get into that really.
Well, we will. So
okay. Well, all right.
So
because I have experience with unions. So.
Yeah. So unions are like, there's good stuff with unions and bad stuff with unions,
So for sure.
So Americans had it fairly good around that time, and no one wanted to rock the boat at all. So, but the boat was about to get rocked. So in Seattle, 35,000 shipyard workers went on strike and sent American papers around the country and talking heads into a complete panic. It was unlike anything anyone had seen before in that time frame, and the leaders of the strike started fighting with each other and eventually fell apart. But as a country, we got a really scary taste of what was happening in Russia at the time. So our 35,000 shipyard workers all said, F you guys, we want to get paid better. That eventually fell apart because there was infighting. But during that whole time frame, newspapers, media, talking heads were all collectively crapping their pants about it, freaking out, saying, we have to figure this out because we essentially shut down the entire shipyard network in the Northwest over these people wanting an extra $1 an hour. So it turned into a big problem. So,
all right.
Around April, so mid-April 1919, mail bombs start showing up all over the country.
Wait, mail bombs?
Bombs in the mail. Boom.
Oh, I was like, all right, I totally misunderstood. I was like, are you saying planes are flying over dropping like bombs full of mail?
Nope. It's not like the ticks.
Mine was like the complete opposite.
No. This is bombs ended up in the mail.
Bombs in the mail. This is like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad, dude. Like,
yeah.
Shakes the mail. It's like, do you know how many bombs go through the mail every day? So many. I got one. I found one and I saved one.
It's like it was also like the anthrax scare.
I remember
after
that was
9/11.
like Bush, right?
What?
Yeah, that was like Bush time.
Yeah, it was right after 9/11. It was literally right after 9/11 was when it happened. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I remember that now because I was like, I remember Bush like coming on TV talking about anthrax in the mail.
Yeah, I flew from New York to Florida right after 9/11, and I remember I was stuck in Florida right after it happened, and a lot of the anthrax letters went through the processing facility near my parents' house.
Oh shit!
So it was a big problem. So, anyways, April 1919. Mail bombs start popping up. They're getting mailed to John Rockefeller and this mayor who falsely took credit for breaking up that entire Seattle strike we were talking about. Also, judges, businessmen, FBI agents, everybody who was basically investigating the Bolsheviks.
Yeah,
they start getting bombs in the mail.
Oh fuck!
They're getting these
dudes
bombs.
Aren't fucking about.
Yeah, and so out of all these bombs, one of them blows up. On April 29th. Package sent to U.S. Senator Thomas Hardwick in Georgia, a sponsor of the Anarchist Exclusion Act, basically one of the early precursors to the Patriot Act.
Okay.
Explodes, injures his wife and his housekeeper. And by then, the FBI had sent around images of all these bombs, and some random poster worker ended up seeing a lot of the bombs and gathering them up so they didn't blow up. So
Oh, shit.
this dude saves the day. Unfortunately, the senator's wife and housekeeper get messed up pretty bad because they were caught in the explosion.
But the senator, like,
he wasn't home at the time.
oh, shit. All right.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing about mail bombs.
Yeah. So those go off.
Chances of getting your target are low.
Yeah, that's a big problem. And throughout history, mail bombs have been like a pretty serious thing. Like they happen a lot. Ted Kaczynski, So.
Yeah.
So anyways, after that, that's in April. And then in May 1st, 1919, just a huge celebration day for organized labor. Violent demonstrations start breaking out in Cleveland. 2 people died, dozens are injured, and more than 100 are arrested. These are gigantic riots with organized labor. Then race riots start breaking out in D.C., Chicago, and Charleston. A few dozen more die, and newspapers across the U.S. blame anarchists and Bolsheviks for all this unrest. And when you hear this whole, like, nowadays, the fear of Antifa, it goes back to literally this exact moment. So people who are, like, in Congress now, who are, like, 60, 70 years old, they're remembering their parents talking about this.
Okay.
Like this moment back then when, like, mail bombs are going off. There's riots in every city. There's, like, communists, like, wrecking stuff in the streets.
Yeah.
And there were little kids thinking about this. And that transposes exactly to today when, like, Lindsey Graham is talking about communists and Antifa.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, I mean, these Antifa, I don't know how you feel about Antifa, but, like,
I don't particularly support them in any way, shape, or form.
I don't know. What's scary to me about this, like, this shit's blowing my mind right now. Like, this is fucking crazy. I can't believe it. How have I never heard about this? This is nuts. But, like,
it was a pretty big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. But when you equate it to Antifa, like, I don't know what you guys think, but those people out there, like, creating the riots out of the protests in modern day, what's going on, that's those Antifa fucks. And, like, the fact that the government won't come out and be like, Antifa's a domestic terrorist organization, that shit's ludicrous to me, because I get that they're not organized, but at the same time, these fucks out there are doing this shit.
Well, and at the same time, though, like, am
I wrong?
Well, is that Antifa? Like, is this?
Well, I guess that's the question.
Is it just people protesting, and then there's some bad eggs blowing stuff up and bad eggs doing things, So this goes back to agent provocateurs. Are there people?
That's what I'm thinking, is that it's an agent provocateur.
You look back
kind of
at, like, the Minnesota riots, and there's all those videos of that dude with the umbrella, like, smashing
that
windows.
White guy with the American flag pole.
Yeah, exactly.
Thing, like, trying to smash the windows, and there's like black dudes running in, and it was like skateboards, like, hitting him in the face and, like, trying to get him stopped and stuff.
So, like, is it just people expressing their feelings and then other people are coming in? So, like, we should do a whole episode on agent provocateurs, because that's a huge thing, and I've written about it before, and it's like, it's interesting. So
the conspiracy is it's Antifa.
The conspiracy is it probably exists, and it might not be Antifa. It might just be people.
Maybe I've just had too many of these Kushes, and I'm over here just be like, it's definitely Antifa. I believe it. You're showing
your power level right now.
I'm on level 9,000 right now.
So that was May 1st is when all that blew up. 1919 May 1st.
All right.
So then we get to June.
Okay.
So after all these riots settle down, there's 8 bombs, far larger than anything mailed back in April, explode simultaneously across 8 different U.S. cities.
What?
These bombs contain 25 pounds of dynamite and wrapped in packages with heavy metal shrapnel that were designed to kill as many people as possible.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So, big problem. So this stuff starts going off, and, like, it just keeps ramping up. So all of the intended targets that had participated in some way with the investigation or the opposition of these anarchist radicals, along with Attorney General Palmer, who was targeted a second time, the intended victims include a Massachusetts state representative and a New Jersey silk manufacturer. Those are all people that were targeted in these 8 bombs.
Okay.
Fatalities included a New York City night watchman, William Bonner, and one of the bombers, Carlo Valdonocci. He was the guy who set up a bomb. He got blown up. a Galenist radical who died in a spectacular fashion when the bomb he placed at the home of Attorney General Palmer exploded in his face.
Oh, shit.
So, yeah.
That's some like instant karma.
Yeah, he didn't get away very well. Though not seriously injured, Attorney General Palmer and his family were thoroughly shaken by the blast, and their home was almost completely demolished. I saw pictures of it, and it looks like the Oklahoma City bombing where the whole face of the building is just down.
Yeah.
That's what their house looked like. It was
Holy
just
shit.
trashed, you know. So a bunch from the bombings and from people cracking down. So the government starts cracking down on people after these bombings.
Okay.
Strikes start breaking out all over the place. Steel workers, coal workers go off the rails. They're striking. They're like holding up production. They're stopping production across the country.
Would you say the railroad workers went off the rails? I'm sorry. That was the worst joke I've ever made.
No, it worked. Because they did. And so anyways, the steel and coal guys, like they all shut down production. But as the strike just keeps dragging on, because there was no solutions, the government's not coming in and saying like, you're going to get more money, you're going to get better treatment. Because keep in mind, back then, these guys were like, get like their faces burned off with like molten lava while they're working. And
like, they
were
were also moving at like a snail's pace. They'd be like,
right. And they're just like, hey,
we just heard they're thinking about it.
Yeah, it's a garbage working condition.
You're right.
You know, it is what it is.
This is before OSHA.
It's 1919. Like people are dying daily in the mines and all this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And so anyways.
Child labor is still a thing. Like
pretty much. I mean, people were like 14, 15-year-olds are working, you know? So, so as these strikes like kept dragging on, the problem was steel and coal supplies started dwindling because nobody was producing them. Yeah. And this wasn't like, we weren't like pumping in stuff from China back then. So if dudes in West Virginia weren't pumping out coal, dudes in San Francisco weren't lighting their fires, you know? So there was no really recourse for this. So the common person on the street instantly turned on the unions. Instantly. Yeah. They were just like, listen, we need coal and F you guys. Yeah.
My house is cold. Go fuck yourself.
Exactly. And so it immediately felt like all of the strikes immediately fell apart. During all of this stuff, as the day-to-day consensus by the average working person was starting to turn against the unions, because they used to have the unions back. As these people are turning against the unions, the government starts rounding people up. They start rounding up illegal immigrants. And one of the things they do is they basically arrest 500 illegal immigrants who were essentially on mailing lists for some communist propaganda.
Okay.
And what they find is they have these 500 people who may or may not have participated in anything, but they were definitely getting mail from the communists.
Okay.
So they take these 500 people and they jam them all onto one ship, float them over to Russia, and kick them off the boat. And then they come back and they're like, hey, we expelled all the communists. Everything's good. We're done here. Everybody back to work. And
Captain America.
Exactly.
We won.
And they like wipe their hands of it. Everybody's done. Everything calmed down. And basically people were like, it's the 20s. And they just started like going into the roaring 20s. And
let's drink bourbon and dance and do drugs.
Yeah. Cause like prohibition hadn't started yet.
Right.
And so like, you know, they didn't have that to look forward to. So that all of that was essentially the first Red Scare. Like that's what that entire thing is called.
Yeah.
You know? And so later, after we got dragged into World War II, there was the second Red Scare.
Okay. And
this all relates to birds.
So we're talking like
being
25 years later.
Yeah, 1939 or so.
Okay.
So anyways, the second Red Scare occurred after World War II, and it was popularly known as McCarthyism, obviously, because after its most famous supporter, Senator Joseph McCarthy. McCarthyism coincided with an increased and popular fear of communist espionage that was consequently of the increasing tension in the Cold War through the Soviet occupation of Eastern Europe. You know, the Berlin blockade happened, all these different things. Like basically, communists were setting up in different parts of the world, and it was freaking out Americans again.
Yeah.
So as the Korean War starts breaking out, all this stuff, Americans start shitting their pants collectively again. And in the events of the late 40s and the early 50s, there were there was a couple, Ethel and Julius Rosenberg, who were arrested for espionage. Basically,
in the U.S.
Yeah, in the U.S. They were basically selling secrets to the Russians. And
great.
Yeah, exactly. So this couple were arrested, and it was like this widely broadcasted thing. It was huge. And everybody saw that happening. And basically everybody was like, oh, my neighbor is also a communist. Because they saw
this is where that like movie with Jim Carrey, where it's like, this person's a communist and you're a communist and you're a communist. And the Hollywood communism thing, like all that started.
Yeah. So McCarthyism was essentially a time in American history where everybody turned their fingers on each other, and they were like, hey, you really support this university, so I think you might be a communist, or you do this and you might be a communist. So it just started.
Black suit dudes show up at your house and go, we think you're a communist. You're coming with us.
Literally that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so at the House, so they created a thing called the House Un-American Activity Committee. What they did was they got all these people together. They started testifying against communists and sympathizers. And some of these people were saying that communist sympathizers penetrated the U.S. government before, during, and after World War II. And they essentially said that there's communist sympathizers everywhere. So these people who were on trial, who were basically screwed, said everybody else is doing it too. And so Joseph McCarthy turned and saw that like this was happening, and he essentially started pointing fingers at everyone.
Right.
So, all these spies started popping up out of the woodworks. People started accusing them of espionage. And right around this time, like 1947, 1948, the CIA started. And so the CIA came out of nowhere and was basically like, we got to get this shit under a hat.
Yeah, you can't see me right now, but I'm nodding my head like
He's nodding his head
I'm like,
crazy.
this is the perfect time for countrywide surveillance.
Exactly. So Patriot Act 1947 happens, and everybody is a suspect. From top to bottom, everyone is a suspect. So in 1947, the CIA was founded with the sole responsibility of surveilling tens of thousands of Americans with communist leanings. The CIA had a hard time convicting anyone of any real crimes, but to them it became very clear that by the 1950s, the threat of communism was increasing exponentially, and they had to improve the system needed to track all of these communists. The 1951 conviction of the Rosenbergs gave the CIA all the ammunition they needed to launch their newest program. Do you know what the newest program is?
To replace all the birds with surveillance
replace
drones.
Every bird.
Is there a name for it? I feel like there's a name for the program where they started it, and I feel like it would have been perfect. If I had jumped in and been like Project
Birdie. Yeah.
Project Birds the word.
Yeah. So they were pre Operation and Bird naming levels. So
oh no, I wanted it to be Project Birds the word. I
know it needs to be, but so as we were getting out of the Rosenbergs being convicted and moving later into the 1950s, so it's 1953, and Allen Dulles, who Dulles Airport is named after in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Dulles was appointed as the first civilian director of the CIA. And this guy undertook the greatest ever increase of American surveillance on U.S. soil. The CIA began using CCTV, closed caption television, obviously.
Right.
Surveillance to track Americans that it considered a threat. So what they started doing was basically putting cameras on street corners in major cities, and they're just watching, college professors who teach Marx to other people, so they're keeping an eye on these people. And one of the problems that they had was that when you have a camera on a street corner, you're only on that street corner. There's nowhere else you can go.
Right.
So you're basically limited to where you can shove a camera. And in 1953, cameras were pretty large,
Right.
You're looking at something the size of a backpack. And so there's
just like strapped to a telephone pole.
Yeah.
Or a light or a stoplight pole or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. So
this is like the level 0 predecessor to Gorgon Stare.
Yes. 100%. Absolutely. So what they're doing is just building in how they can take this to the next level.
All right.
And so they're bringing in new technology, new ways to look at stuff. And so on April 15th, 1956, Allen Dulles meets with Eisenhower and proposes his new plan to put these moving cameras in the sky.
Operation Bird is the word.
Operation Birdie Birdie. Eisenhower approves the plan without even knowing what it is or the true ramifications of what Dulles has in mind. Other members of the CIA later shared Dulles' absolute hatred of birds. So Dulles hates birds from the beginning, and mainly because they were shitting all over his car in the CIA parking lot. This is all rumor and conjecture, but it was shared as something that might be important.
All right.
So, on an intelligence gathering retreat in May of 1956, Dulles and his team sought to kill 2 birds with one stone, pun intended. Literally.
2 birds with one deadly flesh-eating virus.
Exactly. He wants to remove all the birds from the United States, but also replace these birds with billions of highly advanced robot lookalikes capable of mimicking real birds in every way. Now, keep in mind, we had, going back, Roswell in the 40s.
Oh, well, I mean, we just gotten that alien tech like 10
years. 40s,
years.
so it's right there. So it's fresh on everybody's mind.
Yeah.
So Dulles and his team want to create the greatest surveillance system ever imagined with the capability of tracking someone on foot, in a vehicle, or even in their personal homes. So they want to take it from the street corner to following people.
Yeah.
So if you have a bird, the bird can chase the person down the street, follow them into their house, sit outside their window, and tweet at them annoyingly.
Yep.
So
they already do. They still do it to me.
It's true.
There's phone lines and shit right outside the window of my office, and every so often I look at them and I'm like, "You motherfuckers are watching."
That's how they recharge. They sit on the phone lines.
Yeah, that is how they recharge.
Yeah.
They sit on the power lines and they suck energy out of it.
Yep.
Actually,
it's wireless charging.
Well, they can't do that because of the way that the power lines are designed. But
maybe you don't know how the power lines are designed.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
No, the way that it works is basically when a bird or something lands on a power line, it creates a different amount of resistance along the line.
Oh, really?
And and the way that the lines are designed, because if the bird just landed on it, the power line has to cycle on and off.
Yeah.
Otherwise, because it thinks something's contacted it.
Okay.
And if something contacts the line and then gets grounded, 100 million volts or whatever.
Oh, that's why if you're holding it, but you're touching the ground, you'll get electrocuted?
Yeah, if you're holding it, but you're touching the ground, you create a ground, and then the electricity goes through you into the ground, electrocutes you, fries you, whatever. But if a bird lands on it, so if you're contacting with the line, but you're not touching the ground, basically there's a system in the power lines that it thinks something has contacted the line, and as a preventative measure to electrocuting people,
okay,
whatever, it cycles the line on and off.
Cool.
And so,
that's not how they recharge.
No.
Okay.
Because they can't get power from lines.
Probably AA batteries at some point or something.
I don't know.
All right, so let's dive back in.
But
so,
I don't know. Maybe they have tech built into them to where when they land on the lines, it causes the line to cycle on and off. But then when it comes back on, it doesn't think something's on it, and so then it charges them. Okay. If they're advanced enough to surveil us, they're advanced enough to trick the shitty power line systems.
Possible.
All right. Let's keep rolling.
So, on May 6, 1957, Dulles met with the head of the Boeing Airplane Company and ordered 120 B-52 bombers. He was under strict orders not to leave a trace of his actions, so he devised a plan to construct the aircraft in Nevada's Area 51 instead of at Boeing HQ. At Area 51, the Boeing engineers were tasked with designing a new version of the B-52, the B-52B. I'm assuming the B stood for bird, which fitted 450-gallon water tanks in the place of the munitions compartments. And the tanks were loaded with water that was tainted with this engineered avian virus that spread quickly through exclusively avian populations. The virus acted similar to the flesh-eating bacteria and would almost entirely dissolve the birds. Operation Water the Country was born. That year, 15% of the bird population was wiped out and replaced with surveillance drones.
I always wondered, what did they do with the dead birds?
Well, they disintegrate.
They didn't have to do anything with them.
Yeah.
They were gone.
It's hollow bones, so they just disintegrate.
They just disintegrate into the air. They blow away.
Yeah. So
they're just dust in the wind.
All we are is dust in the wind. So the president was unaware of what was going on until October 3rd, 1963, when a top CIA official was overheard speaking about the operation over a tap phone line. Kennedy overheard Alvin B. Cleaver, internal communications director for the CIA, discussing the plan and summoned Cleaver and Dulles to question them. A month later, Kennedy was assassinated.
Connected? Well, yeah. I mean, probably. Kennedy fucked up. He shouldn't have dipped around with the birds.
Never mess with the birds.
Yeah. He can mess with Marilyn Monroe, but not the birds.
Right. So there's believed to be 22 underground manufacturing plants during the peak of the construction process, somewhere around the 80s. Upwards of 100,000 robots were being constructed each day across all 22 bunkers. Each of these fake fallout shelter robot bird construction facilities will construct a different type of bird specific to that region, and they've been chugging along ever since. During the 1970s, several whistleblowers came forward and tried to alert the country. Some were immediately murdered, and some went on to found the Birds Aren't Real movement, and it's been building steam ever since.
Well, I guess my only question is, when was the Clinton Foundation founded? Because if it was around this time, they were probably assassinated by them. They're the best assassinators in the world.
The Clinton body count claimed the birds aren't real people.
Absolutely. I would believe that. If you told me that, I would believe that.
Yeah. It's right.
They're better than the Russians at assassinating people.
It seems like it. Less radiation involved.
Yeah.
So that leaves us with a couple of questions here. So since the production of the birds was going off full tilt, people started wondering about four main questions.
All right.
So the first one is, what about the eggs? What happens every morning when you're eating eggs?
Well, I mean, like eggs from chickens?
Yeah. Chicken eggs.
Well, chickens wouldn't be included in the surveillance birds.
Are you sure?
Chickens are ground birds.
Yeah, but they got to keep an eye on farmers.
There's other birds that can keep eyes on farmers. We need the chickens so that we can eat them.
It's true. But what the Birds Aren't Real movement says is that all eggs that you get in the store and get from other chickens are synthetic. It's a creation made in laboratories and delivered to grocery stores. No different than soda pop or cheese sticks.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So you're eating fake stuff.
All right. I mean, there's 100% chance we're all eating some kind of fake stuff. So
absolutely. Everything. Probably.
I mean, I just never guess my eggs are fake, but I believe it.
Yeah. So then what about the chickens that are actually laying the eggs? If the eggs are fake.
They're these little tiny machines that produce synthetic eggs.
Yeah. So where does chicken meat come from? When you go and you buy a rotisserie chicken, what are you getting?
Lab grown synthetic meat.
Exactly. 100%.
What? So, really? I'm right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's actually lab grown synthetic meat. So when you get chicken nuggets, you're basically getting like fungi and soy mixed together.
Okay. So, all right. So this actually doesn't entirely blow my mind because, all right. Fun fact.
Okay.
Have you ever been to like an all you can eat sushi buffet?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
So, there's like classy all you can eat sushi buffets as well as like the really shitty ones.
Yep.
And like there's ones where you pay like $35 and you can eat all the like bagel rolls you want or whatever.
Sure.
So one of the things that a lot of these type of like sushi places keep on the menu that would be way too expensive to keep on the menu, but for some reason it's there and it doesn't make any sense for the amount of money you're paying, is scallops.
Okay.
So what do?
Scallops?
Yeah.
Yeah. Scallops are grown in farms.
Yeah. No, they can't afford those either.
Oh, so
grown scallops are it's shark meat.
Wait, what?
Yeah. They replace the scallops with like discs of cut white shark meat.
Wait, wouldn't it be way harder to get shark than scallops?
Yeah, but less expensive.
Well, because scallops, they grow scallops in like factory farms.
I don't know, man. I'm just telling you what I'm just telling you what I heard.
Scallops grow like mushrooms. Like they grow them in factory farms.
Yeah, but I mean, like, think about so scallops are like the size of like a golf ball, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and there's
how
also
many-
small, there's bay versus bay versus
Like
the other
ocean
kind of
scallops, like the
yeah,
big
like
kinds?
ocean versus bay
I
scallops.
always want the big ones. And the
I
ones
think
they
those are
have in like
ocean.
sushi are like the big ones that they
Yeah.
like cut up or whatever.
So,
But
they're a great white shark.
no, it's just like not great white shark. It's just like you ever get like a California roll and it has like imitation crab meat in it.
Yeah, which is like white fish.
Yeah, it's made out of white fish.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a fish out there called the white fish that they're using to do that. It's just white fish meat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just white shark meat.
Okay.
So I saw this thing one time where it was like people were going around to different restaurants and they would like order all the different seafood and then they would test the meat to see if it was actually the meat that they said it was. And the scallops were like almost always shark meat.
Weird.
Yeah.
Okay. So are there some sort of like super common shark that they're using to like harvest for this meat?
I don't know.
Like
I didn't get that far into
sharks
it.
or something?
Yeah, I didn't like go back and Google it. I just saw it and I was like, oh fuck. They're replacing the scallops with shark meat because scallops are too expensive.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah, I mean, I bought scallops to make one night, and it was like $25, and
that's probably actually scallops though.
If I was like, why did I spend $25 on scallops?
If it's like $18 to $25 a pound, that's probably actually
scallops. That's what I'm saying. Is like, why did I spend that much money on scallops?
But if you go into a restaurant and it's like $45 and it's like 3 scallops, that's probably actually scallops. But if it's like $20 and you're getting 4 scallops, you're eating shark meat.
Okay.
So just keep an eye out.
I feel like sharks are more rare though. Okay. Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, all you need
punch
is
a
like,
hole in a shark.
Well, all you need is like 1 2,000-pound shark, and boom, you've got like a million scallops.
Yeah, because you couldn't really use like tuna or anything. Because like, tuna is tuna.
Right. It'd be too red.
Okay.
It'd have to be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, back to the birds.
Any marine biologists out there, shout out. Let us know what's going on with that.
I don't know.
Okay. So we've talked about the meat. We've talked about the eggs.
Okay.
So if all the birds are fake and they're robots that are tracking us and they're drones,
okay,
what about the bird shit? Because I get bird shit on my car. I have 2 cars.
Okay.
I get bird shit on my cars multiple times.
So are we talking about bird shit or are we talking about chickens?
No, we're talking about bird shit. Like when you're walking down the street, bird shit's on your head. What is that?
Okay. Because before we were
on
talking
your car.
Right. Okay.
What do you get on your car out there?
Shit. I don't know. I'm all right. I'm trying to think. I come out on my car. There's shit on it. I know if I leave the shit on my car, it's gonna fuck up my clear coat.
Yeah, it's acidic. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's gotta be something acidic. I don't know. I don't want to tell me what it is.
All right, I'll tell. Don't worry, little baby bird. I'll feed you. It's so essentially it is a highly sophisticated liquid tracking device.
What?
Yep.
But it's acidic?
Yeah. That's how it bonds with your car. So on a molecular level, it sticks to your car. So even if you wash it off, there's still pieces there. That's why it fucks up your clear coat.
Oh shit.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So now this is that was the like end of the questions though, right?
No, there's still one more.
All right. Let's do the last one.
Okay.
Because I have to jump back. I have a story to tell.
Okay. So anyways, the bird poop is essentially when you come out and there's some bird poop on your car, that means that the government is trying to track where you're going.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So
you got to get that bird poop quick.
Yeah,
it'll fuck up your clear coat.
It'll mess up your car. And I see one of my
and they know where you're going.
Yeah, my Miata is plasti dipped, so I'm screwed.
Oh shit!
Bird poop.
I did not realize that was plasti dip.
Yeah,
I thought they'd like full on matte painted that shit.
No, it's plasti dip. It's horrible.
Oh god, you can peel that off.
I can peel it off in like 20 minutes.
Don't do it though.
No, I'm not gonna.
It might be worse underneath.
It's 100% worse underneath. I can tell by looking at it, it's 100% worse underneath.
All right, yeah. Don't.
So, anyways, next question. So you're out in the woods.
Okay.
You're a hunter.
Okay.
You have hunted.
Yeah.
You've killed things with a gun.
Sure.
You're out there. So let's talk about turkeys. You're out there.
God, they're so annoying.
Turkeys are worst. Like only geese are worse.
They're extremely intelligent. They see in color.
Did you know Ben Franklin wanted the turkey to be the American mascot instead of the bald eagle?
That would make sense. Turkeys are assholes.
Sure, let's go with that. But anyways, so let's say you and I are out in the woods.
Okay.
We come up out of a clearing.
Okay.
And there's a turkey.
All
you
right.
and I are both toting over under shotguns.
Probably a pump if we're going after turkeys, but all right.
Sure. I don't know. I've never hunted turkeys.
You use a pump.
Okay. So
or a semi.
So the turkey comes around the corner.
Okay.
You get a beat on it.
They do one of those.
Yeah. You
all
hit
right.
it with the buckshot and drop it. I guess you wouldn't use buckshot.
No, you'd use birdshot.
Birdshot.
Or turkey shot.
Turkey
yeah.
shot. Okay. So there's turkey shot for a turkey.
Yeah.
This is showing my
you have a turkey choke in your pump.
Sure, yeah. So you drop this turkey. You walk up to it.
You literally blow its head off. That's
and
the only
you
way.
see turkey guts.
Yeah.
So what happened to the mechanized birds?
Oh, it's in there.
Yeah. So
it's like Android level shit where androids are biomechanical.
How would you compare that? Are these like Terminators? Like what's going on there?
No, it's all right. So it's not. So when you think about an android, it's not quite Terminator.
No.
Right. It's not like mechanical with flesh on top.
Right. Like is he the 800? Schwarzenegger was the 800?
Yeah, it was a T8.
And the 1000 was the metal guy?
He was the melty guy. Yeah.
What about the guy from Aliens who, he got ripped open?
Oh, see, that dude was a cyborg.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah, I think that's different. So, see, I might be confusing my cyborg and android. No, cyborgs are cybernetic beings, completely synthetic.
Okay. Which I think is what the dude from Aliens was.
Yes. An android would be a blend of living and mechanical. And so I think in this case,
is that what we're
with
dealing
the
with?
birds, I think we're dealing with a blend of living and mechanical. Because like if you just like blow a bird into a million pieces, you're not going to find like a bunch of metal. Like if you just like ripped the face off of Arnold Schwarzenegger and you're seeing the metal underneath, right?
It's
That's
right
not what you're going to see, because there's so many people out there like hunting turkeys or killing
they're out there every day.
Chickens
ducks,
to eat and
everything.
stuff, or ducks or pheasant or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like, I mean, people don't really eat crow, but like, if you run over a crow in your car, you don't want somebody to like, do they? I've heard they taste horrible.
Probably.
I don't know.
Gamey.
But like if you hit a crow or a whatever bird with your car, you don't want to like have like fake bloody guts fly everywhere and then all of a sudden there's this like metal skeleton underneath. You still want people who don't know about birds to think that shit's a real bird.
So some sort of non-metal synthetic bone structure kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean it could easily be some sort of synthetic frame. It doesn't have to be metal. It could look like bone, it could break like bone, it could weigh like bone, but it could not be bone. So you know what I mean? And they could have like one of the things that's come out really recently in tech that's been really cool is translucent televisions.
Explain yourself.
So there's a number of really cool tech that's come out that, I mean, could totally be used for this.
I don't follow modern tech.
So one of the things that's cool about like recent tech is like if you look at the way, the way that like QLED televisions and stuff are designed, and the way that they create the pixels, the little electrodes that they bind together to create the LED picture. If you, on a normal LED TV, the behind portion of it is like a black, so that when you see the TV, it,
like it's like a shelf that it all sits in.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's like a flat panel and all these little electrodes are webbed together in this like thin sheet that's on the back of that's like creates the TV.
This is the TVs we have now. That's what you're describing. Okay.
And there's translucent versions of it where you can see straight through the TV. Like you can, like if you set it up, like if you set up a TV in between us, like, so we're facing each other.
Yeah.
If you set this thing up in between us, I could see straight through the TV to you. But
Okay.
if I turn it on and I'm like watching a movie, I can see the movie, but I can still see through it to see
Sure,
you.
like Back to the Future 2 stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But if I get really, really up close on it, you can see
The
all
webbing.
the microscopic little wires connecting all the little LEDs together.
Cool.
And this like microscopic wiring they could use to like blend into the bones to create the structure that like moves the bird.
Yeah.
And then there's this other cool thing that's like come out recently in the private field as well.
If that's what we have with TVs now, like if that's what your TV is now inside,
right?
Like
the government could have had that shit 50 years ago.
Of course they did.
Right.
Look
It's
at,
like there's hydrogen powered engines now that run on water, but they won't release them because they don't want to destroy the electric car industry.
Of course.
And they don't want to destroy the oil industry by
Yeah.
being like, congratulations, if you buy this car, you can run it on tap water.
There were like hydrogen powered Studebakers in the 50s. Seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, hydrogen powered engines are out there. You can run them on fucking water. But we don't have that crap and we're not going to have it for 50 years because the oil industry is too powerful and whatever. And like there's other tech that's come out recently. Like there's this thread that medical companies are making now, and they can embed like little tiny microscopic cameras and little tiny LEDs in the end of it. And what they can do is they can use this thread that's made out of this like weird titanium alloy. And it's a magnetic thread that they can string through the veins in your body, and they can literally steer the thread using magnets because they can magnetize a portion of the thread and make it bend and turn. And so they can weave it through your veins in your like arm or go all the way up in your neck into your brain and weave through the structure of blood vessels in your body and find where like blockages are, and then use the thread to like pull pieces of the blockage out to deconstruct blockages.
So I've been led to understand by the insane clown posse that we aren't sure how magnets work. Is that not the case?
See, I listened to ICP and I owned an ICP hoodie when I was in high school.
Okay.
But if you tried to get me to quote any other song other than Homies, I would not know what you're talking about.
My only two interactions with ICP are that music video where they're like magnets, how do they work? That whole thing. And then the other one was when I was in college, there was a girl that I was making out pretty heavily with who pulled off her shirt and there was an ICP tattoo, and
sick. That girl's a keeper.
I fled the scene. And that was that.
Oh, I would have instantly been like, "Oh, yo, girl, you seem like the kind of the girl that wants to go to rave and do shrooms."
No, I fled. I fled quickly. Yeah, it was.
All right. So, what's the theory? What's the theory about the bodies?
So it's essentially
because I've seen so many dead bird bodies.
Yeah, same.
Literally millions.
I'm actually surprised about how many dead birds I've seen in my life.
So I worked for a chicken producing manufacturing company.
Yeah.
I've seen literally millions upon millions upon millions of dead
my
chicken carcasses.
My family who lives in northern Indiana literally everyone in my family worked at the Purdue chicken factory in northern Indiana.
Yeah, I worked at the Sanderson chicken factory in Georgia.
So like, I mean, like they have seen these deaths, like not deaths, but like
I did
chicken shreddings.
Yeah, horrible. If you ever have the opportunity to work at a chicken plant, don't.
Yeah, I'll turn it down.
Say no. Don't do it.
I'm pretty established in my career. I feel like slaughterhouse is not a direction I'm going to
go somewhere else.
Yeah. So the theory is that they're actually like cybernetic, like very much like the cyborg and alien that was killed.
Okay.
So basically extremely
advanced. They'd rather do that than than the Android version.
Well, they figure it's extremely advanced cybernetics, like so it's like meat-based computing.
Okay.
So
Okay.
That's what they're saying.
All right, I could get on board with
stuff
that.
we don't have. Area 51 stuff, So.
They can't fix my back with some cyborg shit.
Right.
But they can make birds.
Well, you're not a bird spying on people. So as soon as you want to jump on board the bird spying on people train, we'll fix your back.
Well,
That's
all right.
So
Then call me a bird.
so if you're a bird, I'm a bird.
That's right.
So the real question is like, who's involved with the actual birds aren't real, the birds aren't real movement? Who are the
Okay.
people that are involved?
Yeah, all right.
So the main person who's been making all of these rounds and been going on MSNBC and CNN and all these people is a kid by the name of Peter Mccarthyism. And I say kid because I'm 40 and he's in his early to mid 20s.
I mean, I'm only 30 and some change. He's still a child.
Still a kid. Yeah, exactly. So he's from Tennessee and he claims to speak for the entire movement as some sort of PR person. And he calls all of the followers his bird brigade. And but he constantly and is very, very careful to talk about how this is not his brainchild, and he is just the current messenger about a situation that has been going on from the 70s. So he's very active and vocal about how he's just the guy in charge now, and he's not even in charge. He's just the guy kind of like talking to the media.
Yeah.
He's just a figurehead.
There's other people somewhere else who are in charge. He's just the face.
Yeah, and on their website, birdsaren'treal.com. Check it out if you haven't. They talk about in there who is, the original people who came in and talked about it in the 70s. So he names those people, and in interviews, he strongly defends the legitimacy of the movement, and he promotes the idea that birds are not real at all. So he continues to air the idea that pre-70s and the 50s, the birds aren't real movement was there to stop the genocide of all these birds. Post-70s, once it was too far over the tipping point, now he's there to educate the people. So, Peter Mccarthyism was brought in to really revolutionize how they talked to the standard day-to-day person about birds aren't real.
Yeah.
They want to get on TikTok. They want to get on Instagram Reels. They want to be out there.
They're pushing their social media game super, super hard.
Yeah. And
they're being really successful at it.
It's very successful.
The word is out there.
So that is a big part of the current iteration of the birds aren't real people is that their merch game is very strong.
Yeah. Their designers are crushing it.
They are there. So it's kind of leading edge, cool designs that everybody wants to wear. They're selling, I would assume, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stuff. And across the country,
I mean, they got shirts, they got stickers, they got
everything
you could possibly want.
And so all across the country, they're out there. They have street teams who are out there pushing swag, shirts, gear, stickers.
So that's the guy that I know.
Right. So
a guy that I know is the street team representative for Richmond.
Right. So he is the guy in Richmond who's pushing the theory.
Yeah. If you see stickers around Richmond, this dude put him there.
Yeah.
If you see birds aren't real shit, my boy's the one who's doing it.
Right. And so it comes down to basically why. Is he there because he agrees? Was he shown some evidence and he's in on it?
Yeah.
Does he feel like that's the way to be? And
I've kind of asked him about it. He won't really tell me that much.
Yeah, maybe he knows something you don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like to him he's trying to downplay it. I don't know, bro. I'm just kind of in it for the free merch. I think this shit's ridiculous. I don't know that they really show their street team the facts. They're just
I would assume not.
They just kind of are like, haha, this is funny. You want to earn some free T-shirts and stuff?
Yeah.
Here's some stickers, and that's basically the way that works. So
if I was 20, I'd be doing that.
Yeah, because the way that it works with them essentially is you sign up to try and be part of their street team, and they basically give you challenges to complete.
Oh,
yeah, it's
cool.
It's kind of interesting and cool at the same time. So basically, it's all right, if you want to become part of the street team, you have to finish this challenge.
Oh,
and so your first challenge is you have to take these stickers that we're going to send you in the mail, and you have to stick them around places around.
Okay.
They're going to send you like a stack of like 20 stickers.
Sure. And you
have to take the 20 stickers and you got to put them all over town. And you have
high
to
traffic
take
areas.
and you have to take a picture of each one of the 20 stickers of where you send them. And then you have to send them back to them. And you have a certain amount of time to do it in.
Like 24 hours or like?
Yeah.
Cool.
Something like that.
I'm into this.
If you do it, they basically push you on to the next level where it's like, all right, so the next level
is Scientology.
Yeah. So the next level is here's a flyer. You have to print like 30 of these flyers and you have to go hang them around businesses and take a picture of everyone
in a certain amount of time.
And if you do that within 48 hours, then you move on to the next level. And they just keep doing it. And eventually it's like,
and in the meanwhile, like their next level, you're getting a sticker. You're getting a shirt.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Cool. Like that's pretty interesting. Like if I was a guy who was trying to like pill a city, like red pill a city or blue pill or whatever.
Yeah.
A city on an idea, I would like my background is like starting and selling businesses. I've done it many, many times. And like if I was going to do that, that is something I would do.
Yeah. Like I've started and sold one business.
Yeah. And it's like that would be a thing I would do.
And like I know I had a really hard time generating hype and getting people
it's
involved.
Hard.
And
it's
I
really
needed
hard
to try and figure out a way to do it without giving away the product.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because it's easy to just give away the product. So like to come up with interesting ways. Yeah.
I had a hard time getting people involved. And so this is just crazy because like my buddy tries to play it off like I'm just doing it for fun, but he's out here doing these challenges.
Right. He's like jumping through hoops, doing stuff. Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like hoops.
So like,
he's just like, it's not a big deal. I ride my bike around downtown and I do shit. And I'm like,
so does he believe or is he just trying to get a t-shirt? Like
see, I can't tell.
Is there like a promise of like money going on or
he hasn't said anything to me about that.
It does,
but I can't tell a lot of the time
if you're
if he's serious or not.
Stickers up, you're eccentric, which is cool. Like
I just can't tell if he's serious or not half the time. Like he's like he'll just be like, bro, I just rode around town like stuck stickers up and take pictures of him. I'm like, are you serious? Or are you not serious? I'm like, do you believe? He's like, yeah, dude, birds aren't fucking real. That's just ridiculous. I'm like, I can't tell if you're serious or not.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love it because it feeds into the whole situation. Like we talked about is like the idea of this goes back to like the 50s and like.
It's so easy to make these situation? Web of connections together to be like, it could very easily be like legit in some way.
It's not hard to trace a path to something like that happening.
Yeah.
And as we've discussed before, we know that the government like has no qualms experimenting on people.
For sure. So why would they be mad at all about extincticizing every bird in North America?
Sure. And I mean,
why wouldn't they?
And even if like every bird is hyperbole, like what if it's just like a bunch of birds? Like, so we
just enough to survey the population.
20,000 in every city, whatever. Like, and it's funny because it's easy to say this is bullshit and it's stupid.
I mean, if you even do one of 10 birds, how many times have you been driving by a telephone line? There's 300 birds sitting there. Which means you got 30 birds surveilling.
And it sounds stupid to say it, but like I see birds every goddamn day, everywhere.
They're
like,
everywhere. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. But it's like there is definitely a question of like we look at the history of the Red Scare. You know, you look at how they handled unions uprising. You look at how they handled people.
I dealt with unions at the chicken company.
How are chicken unions? Are they okay? Like, do they kill people? Like,
no, they're not worried about the chickens. It's the people coming together because the work environment's horrible.
Of course.
And I remember the company
you're
telling me,
killing things.
You're a manager. If anybody comes in here asking about unions, you have to say no because that's bad for the company. And they were like having this whole union strike thing happening in Georgia because unions are illegal in North Carolina.
Yeah, yeah.
But in Georgia, they ain't. So they were worried about it because basically there's all these different jobs all along the chicken murdering line. and the second job...
it sounds extreme when you call it the chicken murdering line.
I mean, that's basically what it is. But the third job in the line is basically 100% convicts.
Really?
The first job is a forklift driver. The second job is the very first job is a person who unhooks the chicken cages from the trucks. The second job is the forklift driver
Okay.
who puts the chicken cages on an automated conveyor belt. The third job is the dude.
Wait, is there like one chicken per cage or something?
No, it's like 20 or 30.
Okay.
So
they're
it's
just
like these
grabbing
weird
20
flat
chickens.
cages. They're like 4 feet wide by like 4 feet
How do
deep.
they kill the chickens?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'll
Bring
tell
it,
you.
Bring it.
I will tell you. It's horrible.
It has to be. There's no other way.
I did it.
You did it?
I did. I have
Jesus.
done every single job from the very beginning to the very end of the chicken.
That was my family. My whole family was
murdering
in that.
line. It's crazy.
I never did.
So I miscounted. So let me start at the very beginning because I don't know how many it is. The first job, you unhook the cages from the flatbed. Second job, forklift driver puts the cages on a weird conveyor belt. Third job, a dude pulls a lever to shake the cages to get the chickens to fall out onto a conveyor belt. Then the conveyor belt shakes them along until they go in through this little tiny passageway that they get kind of pushed into until they go into this dark
Jesus
room
Christ.
that's lit up with red and blue lights, and there's fans blowing everywhere.
Wait, why are there red and blue lights?
The lights are supposed to calm them down. It's weird because when you see them on the outside, they're like, blah, 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 and they're like flapping around and shit. But as soon as they get into the dark room with the air blowing everywhere with the red and blue lights, they like stop.
Oh,
and they
well,
just
they're
like
probably
all of a
scared,
sudden
yeah.
like huddle down.
They hunker down, yeah.
That next job is the second most fucked up job in the entire plant.
Jesus.
This job is 100% convicts, and their job is called chicken hanger. And what happens is there's these W-shaped shackles that go flying past you at 50 birds a minute.
Jesus.
And there's 8 dudes in this room, and there's a table in front of them, and it's just a conveyor belt that's shaking with all the chickens in front of you. And your job is to reach down and grab a chicken by the leg, pick them up upside down, stick their feet in these W-shaped shackles, and pull their feet down until they're hooked in the shackle, and the shackle's flying past you.
Are you like piercing their feet through that?
No. It's just a big W shape.
Oh, so you're
and
just
the two
jamming
W's where it's like
it's
like
still
this.
horrible.
You take their legs and they go into the thing like that, and then it just hangs them there while the shackles are flying past you like this. And on the back side of the shackles is a big stainless steel plate that their tummy rubs against.
Oh.
And so your job is to basically grab up a chicken, hang them in the shackle, and hook them down to where they're in the bottom of this W-shaped shackles. It's flying past your face. And then as soon as their tummy hits this stainless steel plate they're rubbing on, the stainless steel plate that's rubbing on their tummy immediately pacifies them and makes them chill out. They stop doing anything.
Oh, because it's cold.
No, because there's chicken rubbing on them at 50 chickens a minute.
Oh, Jesus.
And basically your job is to grab chickens and hang them in these shackles all day long. That's what you do.
Sounds horrible.
Yep.
And that's the second worst.
Yeah, that's the second worst job.
Oh, God.
Actually, that's the worst job because as you're picking up chickens and hanging them in these shackles, they projectile shit on you. They do all kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
The second worst job, and basically these shackles go flying by and they go up to your left out of the way, and then they go swooshing through a little tiny passageway in the upper corner of the room out into a much larger room where other horrible stuff happens. Like, I could talk for days on the horribleness of the chicken.
We should do a whole thing on this. Yeah.
I can. If you guys are interested in hearing the horrors of the chicken plant,
people are interested.
I will absolutely sit here and talk to you about the horrors of the chicken plant for an hour. All right, let's do an episode on the horrors of the chicken plant and keep moving forward with the birds.
Wait. Okay. So give me like 10-second. What was the worst job? Just killing them?
10-second. What's the worst job? All right. So there's 2 more jobs that are horrible in the plant. Number 1, your job is basically auxiliary chicken murderer.
Yeah, of course.
And essentially you have like your head to toe covered in plastic, and you have like a little shield over your face, and there's a little machine that basically it sprays waters on the birds, and it has these 2 rollers that water is spraying on them. And what it does is the chicken's heads go in between these 2 metal bars, and the bars force the chicken's head to roll back, and then there's literally like a deli slicer blade sitting there running forever, and it cuts the birds'
So people
throats,
don't have to be there.
and they bleed out into these giant blood tanks.
Yeah.
And
Wait, was somebody kosher?
Huh?
Was that like the kosher kill, the way they bleed out like that?
So they're knocked out
Okay.
when they're getting killed like this. Basically, what happens is the shackles come out of the hanging room. They get dunked in the saltwater tank,
Yeah.
and then they get dragged over a shock plate.
Yeah.
And the shock plate hits them with like 50 amps of electricity. And it immediately knocks them out and forces their heart rate to run basically max. And then as they're knocked out and their heart rate's running 1,000,000 miles an hour, they go through this little head slicer machine or neck slicer machine, and it cuts their throat. And so then as their heart rate's 1,000,000 miles an hour and they're knocked out, they just bleed out.
Wow.
And that is the industry standard for the most humane way to slaughter 1,000,000 birds a week, which is what most big bird plants do,
Yeah.
is 1,000,000 birds a week.
Yeah.
And basically,
I know the numbers. I worked at PETA. Yeah. I know the numbers.
Under most circumstances, no person needs to be there. But later down the line, the FDA and government and all this stuff says that chicken plants are only allowed one, or I can't remember what the number is, but a certain number of what's called a red bird
Sure.
a month. Or whatever.
What does that mean?
And basically what that means is what a red bird is a bird whose throat did not get cut enough for it to be dead by the time it went into I don't know how to describe it, but basically it's a series of different temperatures of hot water.
Picture the whole thing in my head. It's horrible.
What it does is the bird gets dunked into these different tanks of different temperature water to get their feathers to loosen up.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it goes through this weird thing of spinning rubber fingers that basically blow off the feathers. Not blow, but it like massages the bird to get all of the feathers. Yeah. No, it basically plucks them all. Mm. It's like a plucking machine, but it's just these big spinning discs of weird rubber fingers.
And this is supposedly after they're dead.
Yeah, after they're dead, all of the feathers get knocked off of them. And after this is the only time when you can tell you've had a red bird. And essentially, if you have a red bird, their neck didn't get cut. And so once all the feathers are off, their whole body is red, which means their whole body is full of blood, which means they got boiled to death. Not killed while they were knocked out. And so it's a person's job to sit there and just stare at this net cutting machine. And if a bird goes through and somehow misses the net cutting machine, it's your job to sit there covered in plastic with a ultra sharp knife in your hand and be staring at these birds. And basically, if a bird doesn't go through the net cutting machine, you have to jump up, you turn your hand like upside down, palm facing up, and you grab their neck with your fingers facing up, and you turn your hand over to turn their neck backwards, and you chop their head off with a knife. Well, you're supposed to just cut their throat, but 99% of the time you don't want to miss because you may have two more birds behind that also didn't get it. So, I mean, you're just like, you grab them, you flip, you essentially just chop their head off. And so then they're guaranteed to bleed out, because what you don't want to have happen is an inhumane death. So it's better to make sure 100% that these birds are dead than have a missed bird.
So, I mean, let's not shit in our own pants. Like all these deaths up to this point are inhumane. Like it's
not great.
It's none of it is great.
And
if it was done to humans, none of it would be allowed.
Yeah,
you know.
And I mean, fun fact: like you're covered in plastic and have like a blast shield over your face, essentially for a reason. Because when you jump up and get one of these chickens, the blood just sprays all over you.
Of course it does. That's so horrible.
It's horrible. Yeah. And then it doesn't get worse down the line. It just gets gory.
Of course.
Well, because there's no blood.
Every step is shittier than the last.
Yeah. I mean, no, because once they're dead and they're bled out, from there it's processing.
Yeah.
It's all cold stuff. It's all getting the meat off of the bones, processing it, getting it packaged, that kind of stuff. I mean, that's like shit you do in your kitchen if you buy a whole bird.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's
who buys whole birds anymore?
I would.
Nobody does that.
I can process a whole bird in like 19 seconds.
I do it all the time. Well, not 19 seconds, but I actually buy whole birds all the time. But like,
it's cheaper to buy whole birds and, whatever. But it's really that first number of steps where it's like, getting the birds out of the thing, getting them dead, getting the feathers off of them, getting the insides out of them. That's the part. That's the bad part.
Well, okay, so you fucked up the whole show. I mean, that's what
you wanted me to keep going. I tried to tell you we could stop.
No, it's like, no, you kept going. This is so like, man,
it's the worst job of my life.
God damn it. Like,
I got a coli twice.
You got a coli?
Twice.
Oh, I can. Was it sprayed in your eyeballs?
I mean, I got projectile shit in my mouth. I don't know what to tell you. And I worked in a plant where there was 1 million dead chickens going.
So I can't even joke that birds aren't real because like you were like slitting the gullets of chickens.
That's what I was saying. Are chickens different? Because chickens aren't surveillance.
Maybe
they're
let's just say
birds.
that. Let's just say
chickens
are a different part of it.
Yeah, and I think turkeys are different. They're huge birds. Why would
turkeys are horrible? I fucking hate turkeys.
They're assholes, but they're delicious. Like, why would you need a mass production food source bird to be fake? That doesn't make sense. Let's
just say the whole birds aren't real thing is warblers, like the little tiny birds, and let's just do that. And it's fuck it, because the rest is like
cardinals and blue jays and chirpy fun birds that people watch. They're watching you back.
And hummingbirds, because they can get into little spots.
Oh,
and
hummingbirds, 100%. They are fucking you up.
Yeah, but like, I mean, you ruin the rest. It's. I had a whole bunch of other stuff about like drones. And all this other stuff, but like,
I want to know about that kind of stuff.
Do you want to know about the drones?
Yeah.
Okay, so
give me the drones thing.
So I mean,
I'm obsessed with drones. Like, bring it on.
Okay, so let's talk about drones, because like, so when you have like the idea of like birds being actually drones, like you have to look at where technology was when drones are being developed. So you have to bring it in of like what was happening. So like if you
how far back in drones are we talking?
We're talking about the 30s.
Like pedal power submachine drones, like late 1800s, or are we talking?
No, like 1930s. We're talking about like actual early radio powered drones.
Okay.
So in the 1930s, there was a dude, Reginald Denny, who served with the British Royal Flying Corps in World War One, and he basically moved to Hollywood in Los Angeles, and he decided that he wanted to make a life out of like building drones and stuff, and he had a hard start of it, and he wasn't able to really like make some cool drone stuff happen, and he decided instead to like go into movies. So he became like this really famous movie star, and he was in 150 movies, and
holy shit.
Yeah, so he was in 150 movies. His last movie, he played Commodore Schmidlap in the 1966 Batman movie, the Adam West movie. And he was like one of the big characters in that movie.
Did they use the shark spray in that movie?
Yeah, I think they actually did. Like in the beginning.
I love the Adam West and Robin shark spray.
Yeah, so
that's the best shit.
So side story, we lived in Los Angeles when Adam West died.
Oh no.
And they lit up City Hall with the bat sign.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was really cool, and everybody gathered around City Hall, and like we all like talked about Batman and stuff. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
But that's anyways, cool. So Reginald Denny was in the 1966 movie. It was his very last role. He died a week after the role.
Oh, damn.
And he played Commodore Schmidlap, who was this dude who like developed some sort of shrink ray, and the penguin grabbed him and, did penguin stuff.
Yeah.
And so essentially between all these acting jobs, he started futzing around with these radio control model aircraft in the 1930s. And the way he was introduced to it was he was walking down the street in between a movie role, and he came along a local kid playing with this gas-powered model airplane, which back in the 1930s, these things were like gargantuan. And so...
But like gas, like compressed air, or gas like...
No. Like
gasoline.
Gasoline. Petrol.
Oh,
like gasoline. What? Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Like a 2-cycle motor.
These kids got so much better toys than us.
Oh yeah.
Fuck y'all.
Yeah. I had a gas.
I gotta have battery powered garbage. Y'all got gas powered airplanes. Like, get out of my face.
And this is 1931.
Oh my God. I'm so jealous. Like, I bet that shit was awesome.
And this is like in Hollywood, Los Angeles. So this kid like loves this plane, and it was probably expensive. Like, I mean, imagine like what it probably cost. So this kid has this thing going off, and he's like flying it around, and Commodore Schmidlap / Reginald Denny strolls up, and he asks if he can take a turn.
Yeah.
And the kid gives him the controls, which this is like very early, like UHF kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he's rolling this stuff, and he gets the airplane up in the air and wrecks it immediately.
Oh
Just
my God.
destroys this poor kid's airplane.
I hope he felt like shit about
within
a new one.
seconds.
Oh my God.
It had to be a horrible thing.
That'd be me now. It's like, don't give me your drone.
Right?
I'm going to wreck your drone.
Right?
Like almost instantly.
So from the wreckage of this poor kid's dreams, Reginald Denny builds Reginald Denny Industries and opens up this model plane shop in 1934 on Hollywood Boulevard, known as, Reginald Denny Hobby Shop, which now it's a 7-Eleven parking lot. But back then it was like, now it's like a space where like people hung out and did some cool stuff. And the shop evolved into the Radio Plane Company. And Denny believed that low-cost radio control aircraft would be very useful for training anti-aircraft gunners. So basically, he wanted to like run these planes in front of like dudes who fired anti-aircraft missiles.
Yeah.
And help them like train how to like...
Or like Cuba Gooding Jr. on, in Pearl Harbor.
Exactly. Like, yeah. Like figure out how to like be better,
Yeah.
And so by 1935, he demonstrates this prototype, and they're like, yes, please. And the U.S. Army just jumps at this stuff. So Denny gets this design and starts spinning this stuff up, and he's got like a ton of these things going for the U.S. Army.
This is like the future of the version 0 of the Predator.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I mean, 100%. So it's this British kid who lives in Los Angeles, and he just starts building these things. And the U.S. Army is like, yeah, let's do
I'll
this.
give you $10 million.
Exactly. And he just starts doing it more and more and more.
That's awesome.
And he has like this really popular shop. Like it turned into this very popular hobby shop. And so he starts just building these, and he goes through like dozens and dozens and dozens of iterations of this for training U.S. military. And literally it turns into...
Were they all like little planes, or did he make like big planes?
Well, it was the 30s and 40s. So like these things were like, couple foot wingspan, like, and they turned into smaller and smaller because they were radio controlled.
Okay.
And his work is what turned into, when we go to Dorothea Dix Park and you see those guys flying those radio control airplanes, that's what his work became,
Yeah.
So, today drones are much smaller and louder, but like,
I mean, I don't want to fly an airplane. I definitely want to fly a quadricopter.
Yeah. Like how much cooler is that? Like,
way cool. Because they can hover. I don't have to worry about keeping constant, momentum in one direction or whatever, crashing it and shit.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can worry about crashing a drone, but like,
no, it's true.
Put a camera on that crap.
Well, and that's the next iteration of what we talk about. Is like,
we got to talk about like Gorgon stare and shit.
Well,
that's just crazy.
where does the drone go? So if they had in the 1930s, they were able to like fly these planes well enough to have guys shooting at them.
Yeah.
In 1930, and we look at what we have today.
Yeah, and plus that was like civilian tech.
Right.
Civilians get tech.
So where are we at
after
today?
the government and military does.
Could we possibly have fake birds?
I mean, absolutely.
We
have laser guided missiles. There's definitely like orbital
laser guided missiles were from
system.
like the 30s.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, we got like laser defense system shit. We got stuff in space. We got like Gorgon stare shit, which we'll talk about at some point, which is like a 50 billion pixel camera that can track an entire city at one time. Like,
it's insane. Yeah.
We got insane shit going on out there. 100%.
So
we could have like fake birds flying around like
are fake bird drones
people.
even hard to do nowadays?
Oh man, it'd be easy.
You think so? Like,
yeah,
you think it's just like a thing?
You walk into Congress right now, be like, yo, I want to spy on all of America. And somebody's going to go, can you give me some pictures of Jen Jameson? You go, yes. And you go, dope, I'm in. Vote yes. You know what I mean? Like, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, when you break it down, it could be very possible with technology we have. And
plus, if we talk about scale too, It'd be so much easier to design robotics on a small scale than it would
I
be to
agree.
design something like the size of a person or the size of a Gundam. The bigger the thing gets,
Yeah,
the more
I agree.
difficult it gets to move.
Well, and
So the smaller it gets, the easier it gets to move.
so then that brings another question. Would it be easier to have actual animal spies, or would it be easier just to make the drones?
Like take real birds and put cybernetics in
Yeah,
them.
there's every day you see like people race pigeons, and there's like pigeon carriers, and
Yeah. Could you like have an army of trained
is
pigeons?
it
out there?
scalable? Yeah.
Yeah. Is it scalable?
I don't know. I feel like the drones could be done, you know?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
So, and then
I feel like at this point, with the amount of tech we have now, it almost might be easier to do like invisible, actual mechanical drones than it would be to do like flesh and mechanical birds.
okay. So on a scale of 1 to 100, 100 being completely pilled and sold on it, where are you at with birds aren't real?
I mean, 0.
0.
That's fake as fuck. Like
birds
if we're
are-
gonna, all right. So if we're gonna be real for a second, I know
Yeah,
that
let's
I'm
do it.
definitely the one who like I always believe.
Yeah,
I love this conspiracy theory,
it's the best.
but I don't.
This
love
is
it
the one.
because-
This is the conspiracy theory that led us to start the show.
Yeah. Like I don't love birds aren't real because I believe that birds aren't real.
Yeah.
I love birds aren't real because this is like the unicorn of all conspiracy theories. Like
Okay.
it's so ridiculous, but it's so thought out. There's
Okay.
evidence that could support it. There's evidence against it. But this shit is 100% full on thought out, pre-baked Gen Z humor at its absolute best. And I fucking love the idea of entertaining, even for a little bit, that this shit could be real because it's 100% fake.
That's my thought. Is it's a commentary on modern conspiracy culture.
Right. And if
This
you know
guy-
anything about Gen Zs and the way that their humor is just super fucked up,
Oh yeah.
this shit fits in perfect.
And this guy, Peter McIndoe, is like,
He's flawless at it.
he is.
He's
And
been able to go on
you see his
literally
videos.
national television
Yeah.
and keep a straight face. And he's never once
never
broken
wavered
from
Yeah.
it. Never.
And I think the whole birds aren't real thing is a 100% commentary on something like QAnon. It is a repudiation. It is a comment on it. It is saying like, we see what you boomers are doing on Facebook,
Yeah.
and this is our response.
Yeah. Boomers are called boomers because all you got to do is insult them for half a second and boom, they turn into children.
Essentially.
But
Yeah.
like, it's crazy. Like if you look at the Birds Aren't Real Instagram, they have 97 posts
Yeah.
and 281,000 followers.
They're definitely like their social media is at the level where they're influencers.
Absolutely.
You know?
like their social media is,
And they're not capitalizing it as much as they probably should, you know.
yeah,
But it's interesting, and they
It-
are doing interesting things.
it's a political commentary while at the same time being capitalist and Gen Z humor. Like this dude
Absolutely.
struck a gold mine
Absolutely.
with his plan. This dude's a genius. Like this guy
I
has to
absolutely
be
agree.
like the biggest genius since like these assholes who started social media.
Well, yeah, because there's so many people who talk about it, and I talk to these people sometimes who want to figure out a way to like capitalize and make money off of QAnon.
Yeah.
They're like, how do I get in there and make some money off this and not worry about my morals?
Yeah.
You
You
know?
make dope QAnon t-shirts.
Sure, you do your thing, but
Yeah.
like this guy figured out a whole angle.
He
where,
didn't have to capitalize on QAnon and
No, he's just
you
doing
know.
his thing. Like he
Yeah.
doesn't care, you know.
Yeah, and plus like this doesn't hurt anybody. Birds
No, it
aren't
doesn't.
real.
It's
like,
interesting.
But QAnon,
Yeah,
I mean, QAnon's got some real life impact. I wouldn't want to be selling QAnon shirts. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But like, I'd sell Birds Aren't Real shirts and I wouldn't think twice about it.
yeah, because it's fun.
Yeah,
It's silly.
once Birds Aren't Real dies, whoever comes up with the next best conspiracy theory, since conspiracy theories have gone mainstream,
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna have a cash cow.
Yeah,
And that maybe
What's
that'll be Bruluminati. Buy a Bruluminati t-shirt.
What's our Birds Aren't Real? What do we got?
Oh man.
Horses don't jump?
No, we would need something good.
Kangaroos don't leap?
Like fish aren't real. Undersea surveillance.
Yeah, I can see that. That would be a hard sell, but yeah.
I know that's not quite as
we need
we would only sell to coastal towns.
Yeah.
We would need something totally different.
Yeah, it has to be completely off the rails.
I don't know. We'd need something like tech oriented. I feel like it would need to be like cell phones are spying on you or laptops are spying on you kind of thing. Like I don't know.
I don't know
either.
I need to think about it for a while.
Yeah, I don't know. But I love this conspiracy theory. It's absolutely fake.
I'm a huge fan.
I've wanted a Birds Aren't Real t-shirt for like a year and a half.
Very easy.
I refuse to give this dude my money. That's the only thing.
Problem.
Like I think this dude's a genius, but I don't want to give him any of my money.
We should make our own shirts.
Somebody send me a Birds Aren't Real shirt and I will send you a case of beer.
We can do that. We can
like I don't want to give this dude my money, but I will give you free beer.
I might do that. I might take you up on
that. All right. You guys don't even have to do it.
I might
Jake's
do it myself.
Do it.
Yeah. All right. So we landed on maybe birds are actually real because we've I haven't, but John has seen their guts spilled all over the horror of his entire childhood.
But real talk, they're not real.
Maybe not. Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe that was just cybernetics.
I don't know. I mean, they're definitely real, but they're definitely not real. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. You decide.
He might be trying to sell hoodies.
Maybe. I don't know.
We haven't talked much about the merch angle.
No.
So yeah, I mean that's where we're at, and we're gonna talk again real soon.
Yeah, guys. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Bruluminati. Our intro and outro music is written by Dungeness. Want to learn more about the topics we cover and who we are? Join us on Facebook and Instagram at Bruluminati Podcast for behind-the-scenes content and updates. Do you have mystical powers of insight or just questions, suggestions, and feedback? Reach out to us at thebruluminati@gmail.com. Are you ready to immerse yourself into the inner circle? Visit patreon.com/Bruluminati Podcast. For the same price as a cup of coffee or sandwich you won't remember, because of mind control, you can join the Bruluminati and lift the veil on the true mysteries of the universe. Your membership to the Conclave unlocks access to our secret Discord server, bonus Patreon-only content, behind-the-scenes talks, and much more. Every dollar spent not only helps us reveal the truths of the world, but also frees us to make the show better, weirder, and allows us to go deeper and deeper into the void while funding our next beer run. When we're not talking conspiracies and beer, we're passionate about saving the forgotten puppies and kitties of the world. 10% of every dollar you donate goes directly to the Best Friend Pet Adoption Agency. They are a local 501c3 all-breed, all-foster cat and dog rescue that will save the life of a pet who never had a chance. Keep an eye out because we'll be posting pictures of the lives our listeners save. For more information on Best Friend Pet Adoption, head over to bfpa.org. Join us again next week for another episode of Bruluminati. We know you will, because again, mind control is real.